All right. It looks like we are live. What is going on, Beehive? It is sweater weather, and I'm loving it. But I know three people who are not loving the sweater weather right now because they are in jail. Yes, we are going to be covering three criminal cases today, two of which have to do with Xing people off of the earth, and one of which has to do with endangering children. So we're going to jump into those cases today. However, I do know that those cases are pretty heavy. So we are going to start off with Am I the A-hole? Because we know that the channel loves Am I the A-hole? We're going to cover, and we're going to try to do them in between each segment. So for those of you who do not recognize the people on the thumbnail, if you're watching on YouTube, we are also live on TikTok. So what's up over on TikTok? I hope everyone's doing well. For those of you who do not know the people on the thumbnail in the YouTube, on the YouTube channel, we're going to go through those people. So we've covered one of these cases on this channel before, and then two of these cases are actually new to this channel that we'll be covering for the absolute first time. So we'll start with our good friend, or not our good friend, actually. We're going to be talking about Bryan Kohberger, who is accused of, and I'm trying to be friendly to the YouTube algorithm and the TikTok algorithm by not using certain words. Bryan Kohberger is accused of Xing off, we're going to call it Xing off, for college students last year, almost to this day, a year ago, a couple of weeks from now, it'll be a year ago, on, I believe it was November 13th or 12th, where he's being accused of going into their house and Xing them off in the middle of the night. He had a hearing today, trying to get the charges dropped. Like that, he tried to get the charges dropped. We're going to jump into all of that, what happened. We're going to briefly watch some of the video. It is by Court TV. I don't know if they strike people, but we're going to get into some of the video regarding that, and then we're going to talk about what the judge decided, why they decided it, why did Bryan Kohberger actually try to get this thing dismissed? Like, is he insane? We're gonna get into it. It was what the judge called creative arguments going on. And when they call it creative arguments, that means the judge thinks you're talking about BS. What we covered earlier this week. Now, or was that last week when we did? I think that was last week when we did the Diddy transcripts. Okay, the next case that we're going to cover, again, another case, or not again, but a new case to this channel. We're going to be talking about Ruby Franke. You may have seen other people covering this case. She was basically like YouTube famous, a family, not a vlog channel, but a family channel that was basically like YouTube famous. And she's being accused of doing some pretty heinous things to her own children. And she actually allegedly has a partner, her and her partner, who she started a second YouTube channel with. They were indicted on the charges for abuse to her children, and this lady has 6 kids. So we're going to briefly talk about that one. I don't have any videos pulled up, but there was some body camera footage released recently. However, I don't have that pulled up, and I am noticing that my little Beehive sign is doing like a little making a little wave. So I'm sorry, y'all, if that is distracting to you. Please let me know, and we'll see if we can get that fixed. Or it kind of looks cool. Let me know if that's bothering y'all or if it looks cool to you. It kind of looks cool to me. Moving on, that's the second case we're going to jump into. And the last case we're going to jump into is a case that I had not heard about. Actually, the chat suggested that we cover this. Kimmy suggested it based off of someone else's suggestions. I cannot remember who it was to begin with. We're going to go ahead and look at that case as well. It's actually a live trial going on with a pretty not a Court TV or Law in Crime that will probably strike you. They are covering the trial directly through the state. So we're going to look at it on that channel. And this guy is accused of Xing off. Again, this is an old case, but we haven't covered it on this channel before. He's accused of Xing off his ex-brother-in-law. I don't know all the details behind everything in the case. I meant to fully read the article. I only skimmed it. last night and I looked for the video. So I didn't have a lot of time to go into like why he did it or if he has an excuse as to why he did it. But he's being accused of Xing off his ex brother in law murder or Xing off for hire, conspiracy to commit Xing off, and he's also being accused with the full Xing off. So I hope you guys understand me when I'm saying Xing off. Red line, flat line, whatever you want to call it, he got rid of his ex-brother-in-law. And so we're going to jump into that case. There were opening arguments today, so we're going to look at that. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Charlie Adelson. When the judge said it, he said it a little funny. And so I hope I'm not saying it right. But Charlie Adelson is accused of Xing off his ex-brother-in-law. We're going to jump into that video. And now that was a whole day of opening statements. So we're definitely not going to get through the entire video today, but we are going to take a look at it to see what is going on in there. So without further ado, I'm going to say hi to everyone that is watching on the live stream and that is commenting in the chat. So if you have not commented yet, please do so that I can say hello to you. And if you haven't already, please do hit the like button. It does help us out in the algorithm. We have a couple of people joining us over on TikTok. Now, I'll tell y'all for real, TikTok, I can't really see what you're saying because it is far, far away from me. So I apologize if you guys are saying something. I see, oh, look, I can see my glasses is working. Des is saying, hey, hello, Des. Nice to see you on TikTok Live. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content over there. But we are on YouTube with a little bit of a better view of my face because the camera is directly on it. And if you're on YouTube, you might notice that there's a little different setup. I'm trying to figure out where to put the mic, where to do the things, get the background looking a little prettier as we move on with growing the stream. We also have someone called Jeans saying, hey girl, hello, how are you doing? Yes, we're getting ready to get the stream background in better condition. As most of you know, I just moved, so it needs a little love, okay? So let's watching live over here on YouTube. We got Tanya D saying, I love to see people liking the video before the live stream even starts. Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate it. Tanya D jumping in early to leave a comment. Tanya D is a member and moderator of the channel, and she takes good care of us. Nice to see you tonight. Cheryl Reed says, then you see me. Yeah, because Cheryl Reed is here liking the video as well before the stream starts. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you. Kimmy Lockyer, our member of the channel, moderator of the channel, a paralegal of the channel that helped me gather all this stuff that I somehow think I'm going to be able to cover in a couple of hours. I don't know how we're going to do it, but thank you, Kimmy, for helping me get everything together, and nice to see you tonight. Mary Malaki says, happy Thursday, Miss Bree in chat. Hello, and happy Thursday to you as well. Tanya D says, hey, Bree Hive, I'm a little late, but I'm here. I was like a couple minutes late, so you're not that late. We're just getting started. I'm sorry if that hurt y'all ears. See, gotta get used to the setup, so I am sorry about that mic bump. Jazzy G saying, hello, y'all. Hello. Welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you today. Kimmy Locker saying hi to Jazzy. Everybody saying hi to Jazzy. Mary Malaki says, flashing light looks cool. Okay, thank you. I'm like, I don't know if it's messing with me or it's pretty cool, but y'all let me know if it's bothering y'all. Jesse G says, hey, hope you both are doing well, to Kimmy and Tanya. Kimmy Locke says, it was Marine recommended the Adelson Markel case. I thought she was referring to Markel at first, which I did see some things pop up, or maybe not things pop up on the Markel case, but we do need to update the Samantha Markel versus Meghan Markle case. So I will look into that, and hopefully Kimmy can help me look into that, please, and thank you. Jesse G says, haven't heard about that case, but sounds wild. And this type of case is something that I normally hear about. Like, I would normally watch this on TV, and I have not heard about it. It happened in 2014, so I was still in undergrad then, so maybe I was not paying attention to that kind of stuff, but this is the type of case I would think I would know about, and I don't. He X'd off his brother-in-law. This is Howard, another member of the channel. Hello, welcome into the live stream, saying hi, Bree. Tanya D saying, hey, TikTok. Yes, hello to TikTok. We actually got Chat's coming in. Des says, this is my first time here. Very interesting. Well, thank you very much and welcome on to the Beehive on TikTok. Beehive on TikTok. Mary Malaki says, love your fall sweater. Pretty and cozy. Thank you so much. It's sweater weather. Love it. I am loving it. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, there are 3 people who are not loving it. And I forgot to say, they're in jail. They're not wearing sweaters because they're in jail for Xing people off and hurting children, which is absolutely ridiculous, if you ask me. Nissa Howard says, "Oh, saw some cool sound suppressors on Facebook. What's a sound suppressor? Do I have awkward audio? Is that what you're trying to tell me?" Nissa Howard. Nissa Howard says they have designs. Kimmy Locker says, yeah, jumping into trial coverage with 3 cases is a little ambitious, but we're hitting the ground running. Yes. Kimmy asked if you guys wanted trials. You said yes. We said, okay, here's 3. For 3 cases for you to jump into. And now, with Ruby Franke, we're not going to go too deep into that. I'm like, we already got a couple things going on. Bryan Kohberger's hearing is about an hour in itself. So, and we don't want to get in trouble with court TV. So we probably won't cover that too long. And then we'll go into Adelson. I want for you guys to hear the jury instruction because I think that's always interesting to hear. And then we'll hear a little bit of the opening statement. And hopefully that is also interesting. Y'all, 12 people on TikTok Live. Well, now we're down to 8, and we're on 8 in YouTube, so that's very interesting. Let's see. Des says, this is my first time here. I already read that one. She's still here live with us. Yeah, so we're get into it. I want to watch Adelson the full time, but I have work. So it's going to be choppy here and there. There are people covering it live. If you do want to hear other commentary other than mine, that is fine as well. But I will not be covering it fully live, but we'll be checking in on it on a weekly basis so that we can actually keep up with it. Now, I'm telling y'all, I don't have time to watch it every day, but I am going to try to keep up with it as much as possible. Carlos Mitchell saying, hey, from TikTok. Well, hello. Welcome into the live stream. First time over here on the YouTube Beehive. Thanks for coming over, converting over. Like I said, it is a better view. You will get to see actually what I'm playing. On TikTok, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see what I'm playing. So if you're on TikTok and you would like to see what's happening on the screen, it might be a good time to transfer over to YouTube because today we are going to actually be playing videos. So YouTube would be the better place to be. So thanks, Carlos, for coming over. Kimmy Locker says, yay, hi to Carlos. Crystal Harris says, cute hair, thank you. Y'all, I forgot to even mention, because I did this over the weekend, this is my hair for my Black Little Mermaid Halloween costume that I'm going to do. So I couldn't do the dreads, but I got the braids and the curly pieces, so I am Ariel herself. I am definitely Ariel herself. Tiny saying, good to see you to Carlos. Yes, make sure you give a warm welcome over to Carlos for joining in from TikTok. That's the first time I think that has ever happened. So we appreciate you so much. Now, one other thing that I'm excited about before we get into the first Am I the A-hole, before jumping into our crazy cases for today is, it's not the best, but I tried, okay? I tried and it will get better over time. I created a transition, y'all. Look, and let me know if you guys can hear the sound. So bad, but I tried really, really hard, and I hope that the chat can appreciate it. Let me go ahead and play it one more time, and y'all, again, let me know if you can actually hear the sound. All right, so that is my attempt at a little transition graphic. It might be a little bit too long for what we actually need. I'm laughing at it. I tried hard, and I think it came out good. Going straight across the screen, which probably was better, but I wanted to make it look like it's actually flying, and it doesn't. It's so choppy. Don't know how to fix it, but that's our transition screen for right now. So hopefully you guys can deal with it. We're getting some hearts in the chat on YouTube, so thank you whoever's hitting the heart for me. Tiny says, "Oh, that would be a cute costume." Yes, yeah, the Little Mermaid. Thank you. I was Scooby Doo last weekend. I might be Scooby Doo again for like actual Halloween. But yes, I'm doing the Little Mermaid this weekend. Hopefully, that's what I'm doing. Cyrus says, "Aw." Kenny Walker says, "I can hear it." Okay, can hear the sound. Tiny D says, "It's cute." Dropping the V emojis. Appreciate it. Jassy G says, "Yes, can hear it. Haha, it's cute." It was the first try. It's good. I'm get it to be a little smoother. Or maybe I'll just hire someone to do a better graphic. Try it. I really was like, never mind. I'm not gonna say that on live stream because I don't want to get in trouble. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the first "Am I the A-hole" for the night. We are going to, like I said, try to do it in between the heavier cases. So we're going to start off with a palette cleanser before we even get to the palette. So boom, let's do it. I want to be big, so F that. All right. Am I the a-hole for making a woman leave my house? I don't know. Are you the a-hole for making a woman leave your house? Let's see. I, 30 male, was talking with my wife's friend who was there for dinner. She tried to hug my son, 7, but he had a bad day and said no thanks. Polite little boy. That is a very polite little boy. She kept pressuring him when she kept pressuring him when and he didn't budge. So she looked at me. I said a kid at school started a fight with him and he was grumpy, so maybe later. She said, "Come on, you're just gonna let him disobey like that?" Yeah. What to be pushy? Like, are you getting any affection in your regular life that you have to hug a 7-year-old kid? You don't have a husband? What's going on here? I said I raised him to build his own boundaries and say no when something violates them. And I would never make him break them for someone else. She laughed and said, "He's lucky he's not her kid, and that behavior would be fixed fast." Okay. All right. Well, shoot. Not the behavior getting fixed fast. She goes on to say, "I had my son go to his room, then I told her to get out. I said the reason I got out of the bed in the morning was to see my son grow another day older, and I would not stand for him being treated like a pet rather than a person." She called me an a-hole and left. My wife is disappointed because she went to yoga with her, but says she can't scold me because she'd probably do the same. Am I the a-hole? So wife saying that she can't scold her for doing scold him for doing such a thing because she probably would have done the same if she would have witnessed this maybe middle-aged, maybe old lady trying to force her son to hug her. I mean, it just comes off as very weird to me. Why are you trying to force a 7-year-old kid to hug them? And you know what? I think this is kind of, I don't know if it's a new phenomenon, but there are a lot of more parents speaking out about having their kids set boundaries, not hugging everyone, not sitting on everyone's lap because children do get hurt in some of those situations. So I definitely understand the parents setting the boundary regarding that. See why people feel so entitled to other people's kids. Like, that's driving me crazy. What do y'all think in the chat? Let's see here. I got a private chat from Kimmy saying, okay. All right. And so Kimmy is asking that everyone go ahead and vote in the chat so that we can read everyone's answers rather than doing the poll. So if you guys have not answered already, please do let us know whether you think that the dad was the a-hole. Let's see here. We got Kimmy helping us out in the TikTok. Kimmy is working overtime, y'all. Thank you so much. There's so much. Yes, we go live every Tuesday and Thursday, and we talk about lawsuits. We're adding in Reddit, am I the a-holes? And yeah, really whatever the heck we want to talk about. Jeez, I have not done that intro in weeks of what we talk about. Yes, we talk about lawsuits, and they usually revolve around trademark celebrity lawsuits, or really whatever the heck we want to talk about. And that encompasses Reddit stories, and it also encompasses criminal trials or just trials in general from the legal field. I am a divorce attorney, and I also do a little bit of business and trademark law. So that is my expertise, but we cover all kinds of stuff, and I cover criminal stuff, although I do not do that on a regular basis. So what possessed me to do such a thing? I don't know, but we do it. We do it anyways. Tanya D says, who is this lady again? The lady is the mom's friend. So not grandma, not auntie, not that if it was a family member, the child should be forced to hug them, but it is the mom's friend. So I don't know if that makes a difference for anybody else. Crystal Harris says, good job, little boy, having boundaries, nasty old woman. Right. Why are you trying to force this kid to hug you after he said no? Like, do you not have a husband? That's my first question. And do you want the 7-year-old to be your husband? And if you do, you're weird and you need to go to jail like our other people on the live stream today. Tanya D says, am I the a-hole? No. No, husband is not the a-hole. Jazzy G saying no, husband's not the a-hole. Death and Spicy, a member of the channel, hello, welcome into the live stream, saying not the a-hole. I definitely agree with everyone. And Mama saying, hey, Bree, hello, welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you. Kimmy Locker says, that little boy is a whole human, not the a-hole for sure. I like how he said, don't treat my son like a dog rather than a human, okay? Because he doesn't have to hug you, weirdo. Go get a boyfriend or, a cat. Hug you, because the son is not doing it. All right, so that was the first Am I the A-hole for the night. As you know, we got to jump into some of the heavier things. So are we covering, I think we can start with Bryan Kohberger, kind of give you guys an update on that. Then we'll go into Ruby Franke, and then we'll end with Adelson, since that is the longest. Since that is the longest one, we will go with Adelson last and see what's going on over there. We'll give a little bit more detail of what's going on in the case. And then, yeah, I don't know why I explained that so much right now, but that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead. Laugh every time. I feel like I shouldn't change it because I feel like it's unique and it's from me. It's bad, but it's good, if that makes sense. Let's jump into Bryan Kohberger. The judge starts off this hearing by saying, also, let me know if you guys can hear this. I'm going to play it real quick.
Somebody's not following those, the prejudice stuff is used. And that's going to
fast forward a little bit. I'll wait for the chat to respond to make sure that you guys can actually hear it. Where were we at? Uh-oh. My screen is pausing, so, oh, that's an ad. Okay. So I want you to be quiet now. Be quiet now. Okay, I have to play.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus.
But I can't find the, oh, here we go. There we go. All right, so the judge starts off by letting everyone know that the court was closed initially because of, what do you call it? Why were they closed? The court was closed initially because they had a sealed hearing talking about the procedures of the grand jury, which is one of the things that they objected to, which Bryan Kohberger's attorneys objected to. So if you guys don't know who Bryan Kohberger is and you missed the beginning of this stream, he is the man that was accused of Xing off, redlining, flatlining for college students last year in November. So like I said at the beginning of the stream, almost 1 year from today, he's being accused of going into these college students' house and Xing them off in the middle of the night, okay? So he is now in a hearing that has been postponed, I think 1 or 2 times, for his motion filed by his attorneys to dismiss the charges against him. And he's asking the court to dismiss the charges against him because I have my notepad. They're asking because he's basically saying there's a biased grand jury. Sir, how how is the jury biased? Please let us know. I guess they're going to let us know in this hearing. He also believes that the charges against him should be this is out of control. He believes the charges against him, although his knife sheath was there, his little Hyundai Elantra was caught on video, he had trash from the people's house at his house in Pennsylvania. He had a lot of stuff going on, okay? What else? He was going to the restaurant where two of the girls worked. He followed the girls on social media, liking their pictures, trying to slide in their DMs, getting ignored by them. No, why he's thinking that we don't have enough evidence to at least charge him. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, and you don't need the smoking gun in order to prove an Xing out case, okay? So what did he say? He said he thinks the grand jury is biased. He also said that the court used inadmissible evidence. And y'all, I am reacting to this live just like y'all, so I don't know exactly what he's referring to as the inadmissible evidence. And then he also says there was and y'all know I can't say this word. Why can I say that? Prosecutorial. Why can't I say that word? The prosecution did something wrong. The prosecution had some misconduct. Prosecutorial, whatever. The prosecution did something bad. The prosecution did something bad, and he's calling it misconduct. And so he's basically saying that, it should be set aside. This case should not go forward. It's wrong that it's even been brought against him. And I forgot to write down the exact number of where this case actually starts. I think this is still the judge telling us that it was sealed, and this is Bryan Kohberger's attorney now standing up. So let me go ahead and slow down the video, but I'm going to put it on 1.25. Let me know if you can speed it up. For those of you who are not watching on TikTok, because it says 0, but if you come in on TikTok, we are watching video on YouTube. So if you want to actually hear what's going on, you are going to have to come over on YouTube because the sound is in my ears. It's not going to play from my computer, so you won't be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear my comments, but you will not be able to hear it. Y'all, the Ring camera creeps me out. I need to just turn off the notifications right now because right now my husband is not here. And every time I get a notification, it makes me think someone's in my house. Even when it says somebody's at my front door, that also creeps me out. Let me know in the chat if you guys have a Ring camera and if you have the same problem with me as me. Okay. Not Kimmy in the private chat trying to teach me how. I'm not going to be able to say it. My list is not going to allow it to happen. Yes, I did see that ruling, Kimmy, so we're going to talk about it with the video. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Hello to Aunts. I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you today. Jazzy G dropping our beat. Love to see it. Sokatoa, hello and welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you today. We got 2 new messages over on TikTok. I cannot see. So, okay, I think we already covered those ones. Crystal Harris says, can hear but not see. I did not show it yet, so we're going to show it in just a minute. Elbow cough to odds. Sokatoa says, super sus about which one. Saying hi to Ty B. Let's see, Jazzy just said, oh, I didn't know all that about social media. Yeah, he was following those girls, sliding in the DMs, trying to get to know them, maybe take them on a date to the restaurant that they worked at. I don't know. But this man had ties to these victims. That he was, I believe, I might be wrong, but at the party. No, he probably wasn't at the party. I'm probably lying. I'm adding extra stuff in. Don't listen to me. All right, Miriam Malaki says, you can refer to the prosecutor as the state or work around. Prosecutor, I cannot say prosecutorial. I can't say that one, okay? Is that even a word? Is that even a word? Yes, Mary Malarkey is coming in clutch with the different words. Say prosecutor. I can't say the variation of it. Okay, too many syllables. Am I a 3rd grader? I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the live stream of the hearing. Like I said, it is 45 minutes long. I don't think I got 45 minutes on 1.25 speed. I might have to bump it up to 1.5 speed. Let me know if it's too fast for y'all, because I do want to watch the majority of it, but I also don't want to get in trouble by PD. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Can y'all see everything pretty good here? I'm going to expand it. Boom, we got full screen over on YouTube. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. And y'all see my little beehive sign getting funky and stuff. Boom. So let's go ahead and play the video, Bree. Oh, it's on mute now.
I wrote a lengthy brief.
This is Bryan Kohberger, attorney, talking.
Where we're supposed to be legally with our grand juries and where we actually are.
Okay, that might be too fast.
This morning, probably not going to change your mind because the Idaho Supreme Court has, I think the court thinks, got me a little. So, I guess I would.
Give me a second. I want to see if I can turn it up louder. So the defense attorney is already saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to change your mind. That's not the best way to start off your defense. Y'all, if you're watching on TikTok, the reason why you can't hear what's going on is because the sound is in my ear. We're watching videos on YouTube. So if you want to hear and see what we're actually doing, make sure you jump over to my YouTube channel to check it out. Okay. So defense attorney starts off from the jump, talking about, I don't think I'm going to change your mind. Mind you, as I just said, they had a hearing prior to this regarding the procedure of the grand jury. It was under seal, so we could not watch it. The cameras were turned off. The judge explained that earlier, but I skipped over that part. Now, what did he say? Why does he want the charges dismissed? Because he said there is a biased grand jury. He also said there was inadmissible evidence used, and there was also prosecution misconduct. Now, that's all his arguments. That's all of his arguments has to do with the conduct of the grand jury, the conduction of the grand jury. So, and you're starting off your argument saying you don't think you're going to win. I don't think that's a good move, but I understand.
But, I don't know about that. Assuming that you don't, let's, I guess, just kind of walk through the simple.
See how the judge is smirking?
The issue of this particular case is Idaho Code 19-1107, and the infamous language in it that says that grand jury ought to find indictments and all evidence before them taken together, unexplained or contradicted, would in their judgment warrant conviction by a charge. And the first question that a court has to ask is, what does that mean? And you start with the plain language, which we ought to do. What warrants a finding or a conviction by a trial jury is beyond reasonable doubt. And it meant that back in 1887, when the territory took all of these statutes. 1887? Almost entirely from the state of California. And it means it today. And then we also pointed out that the great state of California, when they had these on their books from back in the 50s, had already a case in 1962 where they said that it's clearly something more than probable cause, but they weren't too specific about exactly what it meant.
Okay, and so what? Oh, I guess it's going to an ad since I paused it. Let me take that off of the screen. So basically what he's arguing right now is that he wants, what is this? Okay. They're saying that the jury, the court used the wrong standard in finding or in instructing the grand jury of what they need to find. He's basically saying the statute said it needs to be enough evidence in which he can be convicted. How are people convicted? Under the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt, not, what did he say? Not something, I think he said not, preponderance of the evidence, which is really easy to overcome. So he's wanting that higher standard of the trial, of him going to trial in order for the grand jury to go ahead and put him to charge him, basically. So let's go ahead and see what's going on.
And the state has pointed out that if you look at really old light dictionaries, it looks like the word warrant means what you might think it does. Old-timey folks, as it does to us, that if it warrants doing something, it means that it would permit doing something. So
warrants means permits, yeah.
And the biggest problem that I have then is just that obviously everyone in the country disagrees with me from sea to shining sea.
Everyone in the country disagrees with him.
And why that occurred, and why, in the year of our Lord 2023, we are suddenly finding out that that's not quite how things are supposed to be. Why did we forget that we passed all these laws? And I don't have a great answer for that, other than I think the only time I ever heard about field codes before I was looking into this was like a really short moment in a class that I took back in law school. So, I mean,
Oh my gosh.
it's somewhat famously kind of the first attempt to codify the law of the day. It takes place in New York and spreads across the country back in 1850. And I think.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's actually kind of hard for me to hear too. Normally I would have this thing going on 1.5 because, you know, but you can't really hear their static in the courtroom. So let me go ahead and turn on the captions. Can you guys see that? Okay, let me hide this thing. I think you guys should be able to see it. Kimmy, we might have to take the banner off every so often so that everyone can see what it's saying. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
What I read in the tea leaves from the New York decisions and the later California decisions is that there's pushback at some of the things that the field code is trying to do. And one of the things that the field code very openly said it was trying to do was fix the grand jury system. Because the grand jury system was believed to be essentially broken. For a lot of the same reasons we don't seem to like grand juries.
Bryan Kohberger looked like he don't believe his attorney.
Believe that grand juries were hard to control. Grand juries would essentially always figure whatever it is they were told and would always indict the accused. And so as a system to protect people, it didn't seem very protective. And they pointed out in the field code, if you go back and read it, that essentially the secrecy aspect of the grand jury is both its most powerful sword and its kind of its worst aspect at the same time.
And if you can see the judge's face on the Zoom call, he looks like he doesn't believe this attorney.
What grand juries can and can't do. And they create some scenarios under which grand juries can be reviewed. And they, in the New York, they call it the Court of Appeals, it's their Supreme Court, says, you know, even though we have these statutes that say we should only set aside these indictments for these particular moments, clearly there's got to be some sort of a due process protection. If you're going to pass a bunch of statutes that rein in a grand jury, and if you can show that somebody's not following those to the prejudice of the accused, and that's going to.
Andy, his defense is the court didn't apply the statute properly.
Similar language in that, I guess, FAR case that we talked about.
He's going for the Constitution. He's talking about due process, which makes sense for a grand jury, but
trying to figure out ways to
I don't know why he's talking about New York. They're not in New York. They're in Idaho.
Essentially saying, if you can tell the grand jury.
Bryan Kohberger is looking at him like, bro.
Their burden. You can also tell them.
Pissed off at him.
It doesn't matter. And then the state.
Or maybe he's just listening. He looks pissed to me.
Explanation for what they're talking about, and California apparently just kind of forgets about it until sometime after they've already passed a law in the 40s that says you can only dismiss a grand jury indictment if you can show that there wasn't probable cause. That kind of moves the whole situation because obviously based on the statute. Our situation is such that we have this thing on the books, and the only group that seems to really dislike it is our Supreme Court, who we have in these opinions where they're like, please, prosecutors, stop telling people it's beyond reasonable doubt. This happens in the early 1900s, and it continues until the 80s, and they finally say, look, we passed a rule. I hope it's clear now. Stop saying that your burden is beyond reasonable doubt. Well, as the court knows, the way that those rules get created is a bunch of people that get invited to parties, like me, in the legal community go and are selected to sit in a room, decide what those rules should say. And there's quite a bit of time it seems like the Supreme Court will later have an opinion and go, this is weird, why is this one of our rules? And so to simply say that, well, because the Supreme Court wrote it, that's their opinion on the matter isn't quite accurate. But clearly the Edmonton court was.
He's using a bunch of cases outside of the actual state that he's arguing in. That's not, there's no case on point for him in his own state is what it sounds like.
But nobody's really been getting into this or raising it until this time. So
yeah, you're the first one raising this.
Rule on this. Supreme Court's already ruled on it. It's just not true. They have never ruled that probable cause is the basis because there was an argument about it. And they said, no, you're wrong. It's probable cause. That hasn't occurred. They ruled
when did they use the standard as probable cause during the grand jury hearing? Is that what he's arguing?
Doesn't
I think so.
Stone what the law is, or for that matter, what the Constitution has to say about it.
You probably know Vistaprint for business.
Sorry
cards.
about my
Yeah,
little
most people.
ads, y'all. All right, so he's arguing that the wrong standard was used during the grand jury. However, we didn't get to see that part. So he's basically saying probable cause is not enough. Basically, probable cause happens when you get pulled over, right? Yeah, you get pulled over, the cop smells weed, they say, okay, I'm going to search your car because I have probable cause that you're smoking weed. But if the police pull you over and you're just, a black guy with dreads and the cop smells no weed, he can't then go, I'm going to search your car because I have probable cause because you're a black guy with dreads, right? That's not probable cause. Probable cause, you have to have something has to come up for you to believe that a crime is occurring. Driving under the influence with weed is, a crime. So he's basically saying that's the standard the grand jury used. I don't know because I was not there. That I don't believe that was filmed. The court is just now allowing these cameras to come into place. Yes, Sakatoa, this is Bryan Kohberger's attorney trying to convince the judge that they did not use a high enough standard when deciding to charge Bryan Kohberger and to issue the indictment to arrest him. It's not going so well. If you guys can look on the actual, there's a TV screen. When they move the camera, you can see the judge's face. The judge is literally sitting back like this, making like a little smirk face because he is not convinced. And let me tell you, they just had a hearing before this actually started. So this is probably the second time that he's hearing this argument, and he's not very, he's not enthusiastic about hearing this for yet another hour. So that's what's going on here is Bryan Kohberger's attorney trying to convince the judge that they used the wrong standard when deciding to indict him, that they have probable cause. But let me tell you something, the evidence is beyond the reasonable doubt. You can get convicted off of the evidence that they currently have against Bryan Kohberger right now. And you know what? We have the affidavit. I think that one does say that we have, but no, they said they have probable cause to submit it to the grand jury to get the indictment. But I don't think the actual standard used has been released to the public. Kimmy Locker says, didn't Kohberger's attorney cite back to Magna Carta or something like that in their written argument? I did not read the written argument, so I don't know about that. I do know that Emily D. Baker did cover all of the filings that were unsealed. So if you want to go back and watch some of her streams, you might get a little bit more information there. Yes, this Bryan Kohberger's defense. So says, oh, I didn't know he got a second lawyer. Interesting. Yeah, they tagged him on quite early in the case. I don't know his name though. Tiny D says she didn't either. She didn't know he got a second attorney. Yes, they do have someone helping out the lady. Because as you can imagine, she's not going to be able to do it on her own. Kimmy Locker says prosecutors are seeking the death penalty, so I don't know how big his legal team is, but I assume there's at least 2 attorneys. Yes, she's not going to be doing it on her own. She is the one that is able to practice or to defend a death penalty case in that state. I think there's only like a few people. So or maybe she's the only one if I remember correctly. I don't know, but there's only at the very least, there's only a few people in Idaho that can handle those kind of cases. So of course she can bring on other people to assist her with all of the other stuff. Right now he's arguing kind of like a procedure thing. So not necessarily death penalty, but whether you should have even indicted him in the first place. So he's able to do that part of it. So let's see here. Kimmy sent me something to enhance the volume on YouTube, but is that going to make me lose my place on the video? I'm not going to do it right now during the stream, but I'll do it after the stream. So thank you, Kimmy, for sending that to me. I don't want to mess anything up. Okay, so let's get back into it. I want to hear his full argument, but he's kind of taking too long to get it. I did turn on the caption, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on 1.5 speed. I normally watch YouTube on 2 speed. There are the captions, but let me know if I should slow it down if you guys can't hear it. I know the volume is really, it's not too loud. I have it all the way on the max for everywhere. So hopefully we can get through this video a little quicker because he is talking slow as molasses. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump back into it.
Big issue, I think, at least my favorite issue, was can the Idaho Supreme Court override the legislature and lower the burden of proof for example? And that was a tricky one because we don't really have a case that just comes out and says that the burden, or for that matter, I guess.
He's taking too long. Do you hear the rest of his argument? Because he's just saying the same thing over and over again. What is the burden of proof? What is the standard of proof? The court's going to tell us what it is. So let's go ahead and skip through him because he's going to talk for another 10 minutes. So let's go here.
You probably should cut that. What the grand jurors did or didn't do.
Fair enough, but I'm just pointing out that there's clearly prejudice in the record that the court can see from
that part was under seal, so he cannot say something like that.
It's really going to be funny you tell the grand jury that this is the standard and it's actually something else. You can't possibly think that the result that you're getting is the accurate one, so you have to do it. These are fundamental rights that people have, so clearly that would be legal.
Right, but you just agreed that the court and the case law, going back to at least Edmondson, have the standard as probable cause. So to just say, well, they were given the wrong instruction is not exactly the case. I mean, that is the standard that has been used in Idaho for years, maybe 100 years.
Okay, I'll explain what happened there.
It was different there for a period of time, but after
In a minute.
I thought that it was pretty much settled. Now I understand the argument between substantive and procedural, and that's that can be a legitimate argument, but I'm not sure it's fair to just say, well, they were given the wrong instructions, yet everybody's using that instruction throughout the state.
Well, Your Honor, if that were true, then I'm not really sure what I'm doing with my life because I've spent much of it arguing that things that everyone in the state is doing is wrong.
True.
And occasionally, rarely, but occasionally, somebody says, no, that guy's right, and my client walks out of prison. So
that's why you can make an argument that something should change, but are you telling me that other places in the state are giving a different instruction that it should be beyond a reasonable doubt?
What I'm telling the court is that it appears that up until 1980, that was true. And so the Supreme Court enters its rule, sort of has this ruling that talks about that, but nobody's arguing.
So the reason why I'm laughing, because he just told the judge, first of all, what the judge said, you just cited a case that said the standard is probable cause. His whole argument is that the grand jury was given the wrong instructions by saying they needed to have probable cause. So that just came out. The court just agreed that the standard given to the grand jury was probable cause. He said it has been that way for the last 100 years. Homeboy decides to respond and says, well, I know what I'm doing with my life then because I made this argument before. That's the proper etiquette in court, sir. The judge let him know, like, of course, you can make whatever argument you want to make, but to get up there and say, I don't know what I'm doing with my life then because I made this argument before is outrageous. It's wild, okay? Let's see what the chat is saying. I mean, what he's saying.
Nobody has a copy of the field code or what California was up to.
Well, Justin Weisslein argued about it in a dissent in Edmondson.
And we thank him for it, although.
Okay, but if you go back, there hasn't been an argument about it.
Well. No. If you go back and you read what Justice Weisslein did, Justice Weisslein didn't know about the field code.
Yeah, he's getting feisty with the judge.
He knew that it meant something different.
I think it's attached on the dissent.
There's
none of that.
No, California.
Those are earlier. That's the earlier.
He's saying you didn't do your research.
He has the California code, and he has the stuff on the territories. That's what he's got. But he doesn't know. I mean, if you read the field code, which apparently nobody did, except Justice Field in California. If you read it, it literally tells you what it's trying to do. It spells it right out, and you can find it for free on Google Books. Which is where I got it. I don't have a copy. I'm not even sure where you find it, but except for Google Books, you can find this thing, and they
not telling the judge to look it up.
They're trying to save the concept of grand jury. They want it to be better than what it is. They understand people are concerned about it. Let's make it better. And it gets adopted in California. And then we took it from that. And then
That's California, though. You're in Idaho.
Like every prosecutor in the state, up until the 80s, when the Supreme Court finally gets them to stop, because the statute's relatively clear. And so the only person who's pushing back against this are these Idaho Supreme Court justices who don't like it. But there's nobody coming to them and saying, here's a copy of the field code. This is where this all comes from. This is the point. Instead, there's just this concern that
Judge is not feeling him trying to call him dumb.
Our communities are only able to indict people beyond reasonable doubt. It's just too much. It's too high stake. That's hard to believe, given how many of these cases are making it up because they were convicted. There's no reports anywhere that I was able to find that in the state of Idaho, all these prosecutors were mistaken and beyond reasonable doubt. There's just like no indictment. Nobody was going to prison. Nobody was getting death. It was a free for all, and we had posses riding around and having to deliver justice because the standard was too high. The grand jury proceeding. That's not what was occurring. What you had was a perfectly well-running system that you had Supreme Court justices who were not aware of where to set it. If somebody had come to them and said it, we'd have a ruling. But nobody did. In fact, we don't have really any state that's ever done the heavy work of this. You've got the New York Court of Appeals. Is about the only one who's aware.
He doesn't have a case on point in his state. That's why he keeps talking about New York and California. And he's trying to convince an Idaho judge to follow what California and New York are doing.
So it's not locked in what the people thought that they had as their law and what they considered to be their standard due process at that time. And the only history we have is you got the Supreme Court saying you don't have that right. You got a bunch of prosecutors of all people thinking that we do. And that's what you're looking at. The fact that the rest of the country is off doing other things, I don't think necessarily matters. What matters in terms of the courts.
That's your argument. You have to follow what the others, what New York and California are doing.
And that
his argument is contradicting itself.
It doesn't mean that the people who wrote the Idaho Revised Statutes in 1887 didn't know what they were signing on for. Whether or not they were sitting at constitutional conventions is something that I put enough effort into to figure that one out, but I don't think it necessarily answers the question.
Tired of hearing him talk.
I think the only other thing I wanted to touch on was how, by agreeing with me, the court is able to save the indictment by turning it into a presentment. As a presentment, there's a lot laxer evidentiary rules and everything else. Much of the complaints we would have about it essentially disappeared, and the state has its presentment. And as far as I'm told, one of the reasons why we had a grand jury in this case is because in another case, I'd argue that if you don't do a grand jury, you can't have the death penalty, which I still believe. But if you have a presentment, that's also listed. And so the state still gets what it wants. And we did a preliminary hearing, which it seems to me would be worth the candle for us.
I think there was some instruction about present for the grand jury, was it not? They were given that option.
Well, I think they were told about it. So I don't know if the court maybe can find it. I can't find a single presentment in the history of Idaho. So I don't know if they've really ever been used.
I don't know.
And I hadn't really even thought about what they are, what they meant until taking up this argument. But from what I could tell,
He's saying that I should have a presentment, but I've never seen it done before.
Typically, for the presentment, the idea for who is getting the presentment seems to come from the grand jury members themselves. They just come in with some information about somebody, they make an accusation like it's a complaint, and then it goes off and gets treated more like a complaint than it does an indictment. I don't know if the court found anything otherwise. That's the way that it appears to supposed to work. Like I said, I don't know.
He's almost done with his nonsense argument, y'all. So let's see if the court says their opinion on the record. I didn't watch all the way to the end, but it looks like the other side is not going to argue in this.
Come in and say, these are some facts I heard from my neighbor, and I think that guy committed a crime, and that's enough to start the wheels of justice. And I'm relatively certain we've met that requirement. And so if the court does that, then the state still has a piece of paper that says the death penalty can be sought in the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. And a preliminary hearing would be offered to give us the ability to take a closer look at this case than what was given at the actual hearing. So everybody can win if you have that as an option.
He wants him to use a different kind of case.
It looks like you might.
I might on your reply.
Okay.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Mr. Nye?
Oh, they are going to reply. He talked for a long time, and the prosecution side is going to talk for a very short time.
As much as I enjoy product through legislative history, the trial attorney usually have a shortcut. And that is to check to see if the Idaho Supreme Court has ruled on the issue. And in this case, it has multiple times. So in Edmondson, the Supreme Court said, and I quote, "The purpose of the grand jury proceeding is to determine whether sufficient probable cause exists to bind the defendant over for trial. The determination of guilt or innocence is saved for a later day. As long as the grand jury has received legally sufficient evidence, which in and of itself supports the finding of probable cause, it is not for an appellate court to set aside the indictment." This court is bound by that holding. The Idaho Supreme Court applied that holding in 2 subsequent cases, Martinez and Jones, both cited in my brief. The Court of Appeals has applied that holding repeatedly. This court is also bound by its holding.
I'll slow this down because he's talking a lot faster than other homeboys, so I'll slow it down for you guys. So other homeboys said there's no cases applying this, and he brings all of these Supreme Court cases that are literally saying that the standard is probable cause.
There's nothing to see here. The Idaho Supreme Court has done this, and this court is not right. Unless the court has
And that's all he has to say. My boy took 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes to present his side of the argument because he found the Supreme Court cases that the defense said did not exist. And now defense is back slamming his book open to tell us some more.
Hey, Judge, courts say things all the time. We call it dicta.
Oh,
The court
shut.
is listing off.
Sometimes we call it the law.
Sometimes. But what we're talking about when we talk about
We call it the actual law, bro. Use the law.
nobody was arguing in that case that probable cause was the standard. They were arguing over whether or not it's fair that some people get a prelim and some people get a grand jury. That's what
Are
they
you
were.
saying the case didn't say that?
Oh no, I got a grand jury and the standard is beyond reasonable doubt. If that's too, I don't like that. I'd rather have a prelim with a probable cause standard. That doesn't occur in that case for various and sure.
Bryan Kohberger looks stressed, I tell you.
Responded to, and yeah, like I said, the Supreme Court adopted a rule, but it's never tested the constitutionality of its own rule. It's never heard arguments on any of these things. It doesn't. It's not stating a holding after an argument.
We gotta speed him up because he takes too long to get to his point. Okay, we got comments coming in. Thank you, chat and YouTube, for letting us know your questions.
I mean, that's what you're building. That's what you're building for. Because you know that I am constrained by existing law. I can't. just
Existing
choose
law, yes.
As a trial court.
He's not the
It's
Supreme
established.
Court.
And I would say that in Edmondson, there wasn't an argument because it was settled law.
It was settled law.
I
It
think
was
that's
presumed.
really the problem. So, of course, a lot happened from 1880, 1890 to now, but the law doesn't always just sit still. I mean, it evolves, and that may be just what happened naturally. I don't agree that the language of the statute is completely clear too. I mean, I think you can interpret it different ways, and a lot of people have interpreted that language different ways, whether it's beyond a reasonable doubt or a probable cause. And you can argue with me about that. I mean, I'm kind of baiting you about that. So,
Judge, the cases that say are very self-serving. And these are courts that are essentially openly hostile to the idea of using beyond reasonable doubt. And so they make claims like to warrant really means to permit the trial jury to see it. That's not
Well, at this point, he can take it up to the Supreme Court if that's, if he doesn't agree.
That is probable cause is what you're going to look at when you're deciding whether or not these indictments should stand. So it really doesn't, whether or not the grand jury is being told something else.
You're gonna get re-indicted. Like, why take this time? I guess, the formality, sure.
Just because the courts didn't like what the legislature adopted. And in our case, unlike California, unlike New York, but what was part of the concept of due process in our Constitution, just because the Supreme Court doesn't like it, doesn't mean it's somehow settled law because it refuses to follow it. It has actually had a case and determined it. Now, occasionally, they can...
It's just telling the court that they're absolutely wrong at this point.
But they never rule on it. And Your Honor has the ability to look at the whole mess, the totality, and say, what is the law? What was the law in...
And I love how the bailiff is super intrigued.
I don't think what the court can write is an opinion that says, well, we don't know when or how it changed, but by 1890, clearly the probable cause was the same. There has to be something where the Supreme Court considers these things in order for it to be settled law.
He has to be tired of standing up saying the same thing over and over
We never
again.
settled this question because nobody ever brought it up. It's really hard to get a copy of the field code in 1913. I don't know, but
there was I can't remember the name right. In 1950.
I don't know why they want to start over anyways. They're gonna indict him again anyway. So the court's like, we're not starting this thing over, bro.
Anyway, there was a discussion in that case about what the standard of proof is or should be in the grand jury. So there have been touches of that along the way, I think, but you're right. There's not a whole lot of law until Edmondson that was pretty clear, and then as Mr. Knight pointed out, a couple of decisions after that. We've got case, I think it was in 1987 or something like that.
Which
So,
is more recent. I appreciate your argument.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
Constrained by the law, though. Back to that.
Not your argument is interesting.
That's good.
Yes, he is making a record that they can appeal on.
It's true, but nobody was arguing about that standard of proof. The fact that they stated while they're walking through what a grand jury is versus what a preliminary hearing is, that doesn't settle what the standard is. Just because they said it doesn't make it the law.
A Supreme Court case, bro.
They have their jurisdiction is limited, and yet broader than the United States Supreme Court. Although if you read that most recent opinion where Judge Stecker doesn't agree with anything about what their jurisdiction is like, it gets kind of complicated. But the point is, they can't just say in an opinion where nobody's arguing anything. Oh, and by the way, the law of the land is this. Nobody briefed this issue, and nobody briefed it in any of the cases that came after it. They didn't set in stone via that opinion what the standard is. They tried by adopting.
Like he said, your argument is interesting, but I'm not gonna adopt it. Stop wasting my time.
Legal right or substantive right. The court says it's a procedural right. And essentially what the court is saying is that the courts get to decide how much it takes for one of us to be thrown in the lockup, put to death, etc. Which I can't find any case that has ever said that. They've all said that the standards being set by the Constitution or the legislature, setting these standards over and over and over again.
He is
So,
almost
I know
done,
Supreme Court,
hopefully,
if you
guys. Almost
setting the
done.
standard of proof, even though there is a statute that says otherwise, they can't do that. That didn't become something that, I mean, they did, but the court is in a position to consider whether or not they could do it. The court can tell the Idaho Supreme Court's rule isn't constitutional. Courts can do that. I mean, we consider bail issues, we consider bail on appeal, things like that, statute versus procedural rights, those things occur. And the lower court can look at that like anybody else can. Who's in the right? Is it the legislature or is it the court? So I think the court can decide all these things. But if the court's going to say it can, I hope you'll at least write a 32-page order in which you explain how right I am on everything except that.
Can you write a 32-page order about how right I am? That was a little bit aggressive. Your argument was creative.
The journey back through history, I think it is an important
Not the
factor in terms
sassiness.
of what the law is and why the law was established the way it was. But even you, okay, and I've heard this, but even in your brief, this is your quote, okay.
No, not quoting your brief.
Jurisprudence on the issue is against it, as well as the least one founding father of the state. So I get it. I mean, when it comes down,
Argued
to
against
me is
yourself.
that, I am constrained by what I believe is settled law in Idaho. I may be wrong, but this is certainly an issue that you would have to bring up with a higher court, the Idaho Supreme Court, and I look forward to getting that from your perspective settled in Idaho. We'll see.
Take it up is what he
there's
said.
a rule, of course, which is we've talked about, but this argument really is fighting against some case law too. You may say that's all dicta. I mean, that's debatable, I suppose.
He's ignoring the
criminal
cases
rules
that actually apply it.
6.5A expressly states that probable cause is the standard, not beyond a reasonable doubt, and for a grand jury's indictment.
It literally says it in the
I think
statute.
I have 3 or 4 recent, because this argument has been circulating in the state.
He's part of the group that's circulating the argument.
Decisions denying the motion. And the argument.
So he's going to deny it.
I'm going to deny that.
Yeah.
Argument. I think the argument is good, but I can't go that far. Not today. I'll give you a written decision. I can't guarantee it's going to be 32 pages. It might be more.
Jobs.
So we'll see. But it's always enjoyable to have an argument with you, Mr. Lunston. So I think that's all we have to do still. Ms. Taylor?
That's it for today, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Thompson?
Yes, sir. We're done for today.
Okay, nothing else to address then. Okay, well.
All right. So that is the end of that hearing. Like I talked about earlier, they had a hearing regarding the whether the procedure in the grand jury actually is. That got settled, and then they came to this hearing where we saw the defense attorney argue for a very long time, and the court still did not agree with him. Now, one other thing that I forgot to mention earlier on in the live stream is that this judge They were still debating as to whether they were going to allow cameras in the courtroom. And during this hearing, for whatever reason, it was not in this video that was posted here by Court TV. The judge did decide that they are going to allow cameras in the courtroom. However, he wants to take more control over those cameras. What does that mean? I don't really know. But the good thing is that we're going to be able to follow this case online. Now, how do we get access to the feed? We'll probably have to figure that out so that we don't have to continue to use Court TV's feed. But well, we'll see what happens tonight if I get a notification that, that they did not like me using their channel, but they're the only ones streaming it. So we can figure out how to get access to the feed directly so that we don't have to deal with stuff like that if it does become an issue. I see that a lot of you drop questions. So we're going to go ahead and go through the questions. But before that, so amused by that, y'all. I'm so amused by that. So before we go, we're going to go ahead and jump into the comments that you guys made. Kimmy did take it upon herself for me to go ahead and pick out the comments that are actually talking about the case so that we can stay on track. We have a whole nother case to get in, which is crazy. That one is a lot longer, and I did not have the opportunity to preview how long the opening arguments would be, but I think listen to the prosecution today. Hopefully we can get through it. If we can't finish it, I'm gonna have to figure out some type of way to condense it down and give you guys an update on it when I have time to condense it down. If you are watching over on TikTok, we are watching videos on YouTube. So if you can't hear the sound, that is why it's coming through my headphones. So you will not be able to hear sound. But right now we are going through questions. Guys, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button. It helps us out in the algorithm. We are already at 25 likes for the live stream, so thank you very much. Our goal is to hit 30 likes for the live stream. It will be much appreciated. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do. I am going to go ahead and jump into the comments regarding what we just watched on Bryan Kohberger's hearing. So his attorney's argument was denied. They said there was misconduct. The wrong standard was used. He cited case law saying that the standard was probable cause. Prosecution cited case law stating that probable cause was the standard. He stated that the statute says no, it's supposed to be reasonable doubt, although there is no language saying anything about reasonable doubt. He cited cases from California. He cited cases from New York, but he did not cite anything from Idaho, and the court decided to decline the motion. The court did approve cameras in the courtroom, and that is where we're at with Bryan Kohberger. We do not know what trial is going to be. We have not gotten that briefing schedule or that calendar schedule yet, so let's go ahead and jump into, oopsie. Be quiet, Feedback Hub. Did y'all hear that little bling? Okay, anyways, let's get into the comments. Mary Malaki says, not every attorney can argue a death penalty case. Interesting. In Idaho? No. And I'm pretty sure it's in every state, because in order to handle a case, you have to be competent. That's in the attorney's rule. Go and start arguing criminal law cases until I get some studying behind it, maybe, get mentorship behind someone. But I cannot sit there and go, hey, I'm a licensed attorney. Bryan Kohberger, you're under the microscope for capital murder. I will handle your case. You're facing the death penalty. I will handle your case. I cannot handle his case. A lot of attorneys cannot handle his case because it's a very specialized area. So no, not every attorney can handle death penalty cases. And again, not every attorney can handle every single type of case, because your state laws are going to tell you you need to be competent in that area of law before you can practice that area of law. So you will not catch me in a criminal court trying to argue, but you guys can catch Natalie, the lawyer chick, arguing the criminal cases over here we're not arguing it on YouTube, but she can handle those kind of cases. I can handle your divorce. Well, not your divorce, but if you're in California in my area and you hire my firm, handle your divorce. American Princess says to Mary Malarkey, I agree, that's very interesting. American Princess also says to Sokotoa, the second attorney has been there since the beginning. Are you talking about the male attorney? Because people were saying they didn't know that he got a second attorney. Sokotoa says to American Princess, the man attorney has been there since the beginning. And Sokotoa, or American Princess, says yes. So she's going to need help, but she's the one that specializes in the death penalty. He specializes in making creative arguments, according to the judge. So your argument is interesting. And I think court was slightly persuaded. In my opinion, he was slightly persuaded. However, he couldn't make that decision because there's not competing case law in Idaho making that statement. Now, if he brings this up to Supreme Court and he gets the Supreme Court in Idaho to rule that the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, then there will be competing case law. We might have a famous Kohberger case when it comes to case law and what the standard is for the grand jury. We may have that. Now, him saying, oh, this is the wrong standard, we need a preliminary hearing. My question is, what does he think is going to change? Like, does he think he's going to be able to make more arguments? Does he think he just needed more time to make whatever arguments before the trial starts? I don't know what he thinks is going to happen. I think if they start over, you're going to stress out the families, and then you're going to start over, and the court's still going to indict you. They're still going to indict you. So really, what's the point of starting over? I definitely understand in criminal cases, making sure that you get all of your clients' rights accounted for, and you have to go through the procedure. So I definitely get it, but this felt more of a waste of time to me. American Princess says to Sokotoa, he's out of Kootenai County Public Defender's Office with Ann Taylor, and she is the one sitting there at the table. American Princess says this case is a lot, in my opinion. It is a lot. Kimmy Locker saying for sure to American Princess. Tanya D saying Bryan is probably thinking I can do better than this guy. Yeah, he did not look happy. It could just be that he was listening, but to me, he looked annoyed and looked like he did not know what was happening. Jazzy G says not find it for free on Google Books. He did throw some shade at the judge. Like, what are you talking about? You can't talk to the judge like that. Sokotoa, it was very snappy. Sokotoa says, I just hope he didn't use ChatGPT. Hey, that has been happening, but the court also pointed out that he contradicted his own brief multiple times. Tanya D says, sounds like he did use ChatGPT. Mary Malarkey says, if you go back and read, sir, yes, he did tell the judge, if you read it, if anybody reads it, I'm the only one that reads things around here. That's what he should have said. He should have said, I'm the only one that reads around here, apparently, because none of you have read the field books or whatever he called it, the field diaries. Reads around here, bro. Tanya D says Ann Taylor is not even moving. She is literally sitting there. I think that's a pin in her hand, actually, but she is not moving. You are so right. Jazzy G says to Tanya D, I noticed that she hasn't turned her head at all. She knows it's a dumb argument. She knew it was a dumb argument. I guarantee you she knew it was a dumb argument. American Princess says to Tanya D, I think Ann Taylor handled the morning hearing, and that was heavy duty hearing, in my opinion. Did she handle it? I don't have any information about whether she handled it or not. The Sea Love Dreaming Peach says, question to me, how long until an actual trial might start? We don't know. They haven't released the date for the start of the trial. It's really going to depend on when the defense and when the prosecution believe that they will be ready for trial, and they should update that with the court as soon as they know. Sometimes, like the case that we're covering next, Adelson, that case happened in 2014. I don't think he was arrested until 2022. He is now on trial. So that one actually went to trial pretty quickly. But I don't know if the same thing is going to happen here. Some trials don't go on for 5-6 years sometimes. So we'll see what happens. Probably hoping that the witnesses forget. Jazzy G says, does anyone know if they ever decided if the trial will have video? The court did decide that they will allow cameras in the courtroom. I'm assuming that also applies to the trial unless something goes wrong. Kimmy says to Jazzy G, they decided that today Bree will give the ruling. Oh, yes, okay. American Princess says, it's Idaho. I'm sure it's delayed release as far as the video coming out. No, I don't think it will be live, but there will be camera recordings like how we're doing right now. Sokotoa says, so this is the second hearing. Was the first one recorded? No. So they had... technically, this is one hearing today. They did not record the first part of the hearing because that part of the hearing was under seal because they were talking about the procedure of the grand jury and what happened during the grand jury. And that's information that is private and cannot be leaked to the public. So they literally went through that portion of the hearing and then now they turned on the cameras for deciding whether the charges will be dismissed against Bryan Kohberger. So technically, no, there were not two hearings. It was one hearing, but a portion of this one hearing was under seal. And that was not recorded. American Princess says to Sokotoa, yes, this is the second hearing. Mary Malaki says, I appreciate being able to watch Judge on the screen, especially going forward in the trial. Yes, I think very, very good job. Let me see. Trying to turn off the ticker. Where is it? Okay, there we go. Okay, let me turn that off. Yes, I look forward to watching him in the trial as well. I think he did a very good job. Let's see where I'm at. Did I lose my spot? American Princess says to Sokotoa, the first hearing was closed to the public, so it wasn't recorded. Yes, exactly. Love Dreamin' Peach says to me, are you in PST? I'm EST and gotta go to sleep. Yes, I am on Pacific Standard Time, so sorry for streaming so late, but we appreciate you for coming live for as much time. Yes, thank you, Tanya, for confirming for Love Dreamin' Peach. You can catch the replay. Hopefully it will be timestamped. Yes, we are working on that, Tanya D. We're working on it, getting things timestamped. Thank you. Kimmy Lockman says, speaking of the replay crew, hello, don't forget to hit the like, or don't forget to like the video. Yes, of course, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button, y'all. We are at 121 likes over on TikTok, but you can hit the like button more than once on TikTok. Our lovely Bree Hive on YouTube got us to 27 likes, and the goal is 30 likes for the live stream. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do. It definitely helps us out. Death and Spicy says Judge is amused. Judge is amused. I think he was slightly persuaded. What do you guys think? American Princess says, I wonder if Joy has ever won a case before. Joy. Who's Joy? Is that Taylor? Is her name Joy Taylor? I guess it is, huh? American Princess says, I really want to know how many cases has Joy won in the past as a public defender. Don't know. Kimmy Lockman says to American Princess, that may be public record or / knowledge somewhere. I don't know if it is. Kimmy also says, I could be wrong, but let us know if you find it. I'm curious as well. Okay, yeah. American Princess says, will do, but I think that Idaho got upset about people looking in their system during situations where people were trying to get Ann Taylor kicked off the case. Okay, so who is Joy? Name is Ann Taylor. That is right. So who is the Joy that you guys are talking about? Heidi says he's a little spicy with the judge. They both made very dry / sarcastic responses to each other that was like, whatever. So together, whatever. They were cussing in their head to me, okay? American Princess says, I think the defense is trying to get the preliminary hearing, in my opinion. That is literally what they're asking for, but I don't know how that would benefit them, to tell the truth. Mary Malaki says, even his client looks impatient with him. He did look very like, bro, get to the point. He's not believing you. Can I just go back to my cell? Sentient Dreamer saying hello from Weird and Wild, Wyoming. Hello and welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you. I think husband is right now. I'm pretty sure that's where he is right now. Wyoming for school. Mary Malaki says Natalie does DP cases and she's awesome and tells it like it is. Followed her during the JD trial. Yes, Natalie is awesome. She is one of my favorites on YouTube. Jackie G says, have more time. Nissa Howard says, I think I've seen the female lawyer does better. She's going to be the one probably, I don't know where they got that argument for, but they went for it and they got somewhere with it. The judge seemed like that is a good argument that probably should go to the Supreme Court. She just can't do anything about it. I thought that was interesting. American Princess says to me, in my opinion, I'm assuming since Ann Taylor is the lead counsel on the case, I'm assuming that she argued the morning hearing. That is possible. She has a death penalty case, a death penalty attorney, so she would need to make arguments like that, but they're from the same office, so that would make sense. I don't know, because, I didn't watch it. It was sealed, so I don't know if she argued, but she probably did. I don't think that guy was up there arguing for 3 hours. I hope not. I hope the judge didn't have to listen to him for 3 hours. Love Dream and Peach says, you can timestamp once the subtitles load up, copy and paste them in ChatGPT. A few prompts get all the timestamps. That's interesting. American Princess says to me, the name is lawyer. Oh, it looked like Joy. You guys were talking about Joy, and are you talking about the man attorney? Kimmy Lock says, I think I remember the judge having a similar dynamic with other attorneys in previous hearings. I think judges are snarky in general, but attorneys are not supposed to be snarky to judges. But I mean, I guess it does happen sometimes. American Princess says, I could be wrong for the male attorney's name. I think that's what you're talking about, right? Okie dokie. So that was all for that case. We are not 2 hours in, so we're doing good on time. I appreciate that. Okay, let me go ahead and run our YouTube. Okay. We are transitioning over to another one of the live stream's favorite things to do, which is well, let's see. We got some soundboard stuff, and I'm still singing stuff for you guys. So, what's a little Let's see. No, that's not a good one. We're heading over to We're heading over to the live streams. One of our favorite things to do, which is, am I the a-hole? Okay, let's go. Go with us getting some things going on in the live stream. So, here we go. Am I the a-hole for wearing a bikini even though my sister just had a baby? Should you wear bikinis when your sister just had a baby? I don't know. Let's see. Basically, the title, I, 26 female, am on a family vacation. And let me stop there. Go ahead and drop in the chat whether you think this sister is an a-hole. We don't have a poll going, so drop in the chat whether you think that the sister is an a-hole. If you're watching on the replay, go ahead and drop in the comment section whether you think that the sister is an a-hole for wearing a bikini, and make sure if you're watching on the replay, you number your responses to the am I the a-hole. Okay, so am I the a-hole for wearing a bikini even though my sister just had a baby? Basically the title, I, 27 female, am on a family vacation. Parents, sister Rachel, 30, her son, 1, her husband, Adam, 31, and my husband and our daughter, 2. We are by the sea, and yesterday was the first time we'd be going to a beach club. Okay, party over here. Ooh. Okay, my sister asked me not to wear a bikini or anything revealing because she said both she and Adam are not feeling the best about her postpartum body. First of all, your husband is an a-hole. Why does he have an opinion on your postpartum body. He shouldn't have no opinion. Talk about me and Adam don't feel the best about my postpartum body. You need to slap Adam. We don't condone violence over here on the Beehive, but Adam needs to be slapped. We might condone violence a little bit on the Beehive, okay? But Adam needs to be slapped. What business does he have saying, I don't feel the best about your postpartum body? Last time I checked, he didn't push a baby out of his gynies, okay? All right. She said, Adam, let's see, because she said she and Adam are not feeling the best about her postpartum body, and she really doesn't want to bring the topic up. I said I was sorry she feels that way, but I wasn't going to spend a day roasting under an umbrella, unable to swim or enjoy myself. I said tons of women would be in bikinis, so I didn't see why I made a difference. That's true. You're at a beach club. Maybe don't go to the beach club if you don't feel good. Why did your sister have to change her clothes? We went to the beach and Rachel was a wreck all day and refused to come with us to the beach today. She should stay at home. My parents are now saying I'm the a-hole for not just wearing a cover up so that you can still swim in, and that if I keep wearing swimwear, it's going to ruin the trip. Why don't you wear swimwear to the beach? Can someone please let me know? Who does not wear swimwear to the beach? Okay. She goes on to say, am I the a-hole? Edit. Regarding Adam and the body thing, yes, regarding Adam, let's address that. What's going on with Adam? What's his problem? Let us know what's going on with Adam. Yes, you read it right. You're not helping Adam. Yes, you read it right. Rachel didn't elaborate, but I presume Adam has made some kind of comments because several times during and after Rachel's pregnancy, he asked me about my postpartum diet / workout regimen. Adam wants to sleep with his wife's sister. That's my opinion. You can shoot me if I'm wrong. Don't shoot me, okay? He wants to sleep with his wife's sister. Sorry. I was vague about it, but did end up telling him I had surgery and various non-invasive treatments, that diet and exercise was not the deciding factor. He stopped asking. So she had surgery to get her body back banging. She just said she has a 2-year-old. Sister only has a 1-year-old. OP went and got her body banging by going to the doctor. Okay? And Adam is not happy that his wife's body is not what it was before she had his seed. Adam, get over yourself. OP, I don't think that you're the a-hole. I think your sister needs to get a new husband. She should not be looking. He should not be looking at her sister and wanting your wife's sister to be you wanting your wife to be like her sister's body. Completely inappropriate. Okay. So let me go ahead and jump in the comment. Oh, we got a lot of comments coming in. Oh, wait, no, I forgot to delete all the other ones. So let me find where we are. See. Oh, are they all at the top? Probably. Okay, they're all moving. So I am assuming that Kimmy is doing something. She deletes them all. Thank you. Are we all good? Nope, they're still moving. All right, I think we're good. Almost now. Oh, nope, they're all gone now. Yeah. All right, here we go. Get us some new ones. So, Mary, thank you, Kimmy. Mary Malarkey says, not the a-hole. OP is not the a-hole for not changing her bathing suit. Love Dreamin' Peach says, already sounds like a no. She should not have to change her bathing suit for her sister. So Katoa cracking up. American Princess says, no, not the a-hole. I would agree. Mary Malarkey says, okay, Adam is the a-hole. Would agree with that as well. Tanya D said, Bree, rent incoming. Yeah, probably. Kim Walker says, excuse the ever-loving soundboard button out of me. Let's fix it for you. Excuse the out of me. I thought she was going to say that she and her husband don't feel the best about their respective bodies. That's a lot more. Understood that one, but I would also be like, well, why is her husband comparing his body to a lady in a bikini? I don't know. To each their own. Maybe he wants to wear the bikini too. But no, he said that he doesn't feel the best about his wife's body. You have no feelings about wife's body. Hush, hush, buddy. Hush, hush, okay? Love Dreaming Peach says Adam is the a-hole. Adam is the a-hole in this situation. I agree. Sokotoa says Adam is the a-hole. That was not even the question, but I think we're all on the same page. Jeff and Spicy says number 2, husband Adam is the a-hole. I would agree with that too. I Love Dreaming Peach says controlling icky vibes. Yeah. I say 12-year-old boy that doesn't know what it means to have a baby and probably convinced this woman to have a baby and thought that she was going to snap back like her sister, but did not know that her sister actually went and got surgery. Okay. Yes, some people can snap back, sure, but that is not his job to determine when or if she ever snaps back. Okay, maybe she likes her postpartum body, and then him saying that he doesn't feel the best about it because, mind you, he's probably made so many comments to her about it. The fact that he said he doesn't feel good about it, imagine how sister feels now. She feels even worse. Even worse. And sister's probably a wreck because her husband's probably eyeballing her sister in her body or the other girlies in the bikini on vacation at the beach. Don't go to the beach. Y'all should have went snowboarding or something where everybody had to wear puffy jackets. Okay? Tiny D saying, it's Adam's fault her body looks that way. Yes, it is Adam's fault. He shouldn't have had such a large baby. Okay, Sokotoa says Rachel was probably going through some postpartum depression, most likely, and her husband is not helping. Her husband is not being encouraging to her. Her husband is saying he's not proud of her body. He's not proud of the body that pushed out his seed, which is ridiculous. Jazzy G saying not the a-hole for OP. Kenny Locker says swimming with a cover up, especially if there's moving waterways, sucks and Adam sucks. Yes. Throw the whole husband away. Yes, agreed. Sokotoa giving the ick emoji. Mary Malaki says Adam can carry the next baby. Adam gets no more babies. Adam gets absolutely no more babies. He better be happy with the one. If he leaves Rachel and he finds a new wife, Rachel's family needs to tell him, hey, if you are thinking about dating him, don't, because he's going to say you're disgusting after you have a baby and you get a little bit more chubby, okay? Don't have a baby for Adam. That is going to be our new logo. Love Dreaming Peace says, sister, man, don't talk about my body ill. Like, what is he looking at the sister? So weird. The little sister at that. Oh, I guess I didn't pull that one up, but that was what Love Dream and Peach says. So Katoa says Adam needs to go. He has to go. He absolutely has to go. Jazzy G says Adam is the a-hole, and it's so gross he asked the sister that, because that means he's looking. That means he's looking. What button didn't work? I don't know which one. Okay. So yeah, you're looking at little sis, and it's weird. Timmy Locker says, I just know Adam's some nasty, greasy things. What? I just know Adam's some nasty, greasy things too. Barry Malaka says, Bree rant continues. Yes. And Kimmy Locker says, I bet OP gets more help / support / time for self-care from her husband than sister gets from Adam too. Guaranteed. I would be very surprised if Adam even knows how to change the baby's diapers. Okay. Next case that we have. Thank you everyone for participating in the Am I the A-hole? And we are we're going somewhere else. We're going somewhere else. You see, our B is transitioning us to something else. Next thing to talk about on the channel is Adelson. For those of you that missed the explanation about Adelson, his name is Charlie. He was a dentist, believe it or not. He was a dentist. He conspired to have his brother-in-law eliminated. And he succeeded in having his brother-in-law eliminated because he's being charged with conspiracy to commit elimination. He's being charged with elimination, and he's being charged with elimination for hire. Okay? He X'd off his ex-brother-in-law. And when you call someone an ex, they don't mean literally X them off, okay? But he did. He did. Yes, Kimmy, the mic doesn't work during the transition, so that's okay. I just don't talk on the other ones. Sorry, I'm not typing back. I'm just responding to Kimmy in the private chat out loud. Okay, so I guess it's not that private. Sorry. Okay, so we have Adelson. I do want us to at least watch the jury instructions. I think that was pretty good. So let me actually rewind it and rewind it and get it back to the jury instructions from the judge, who we have a different judge. What state are we in? I think we're in Florida for this case. So Adelson got rid of his ex-brother-in-law. I don't know the backstory, y'all. I'm sorry. I found the case. I did not have the opportunity to go through the whole backstory. But guess what? The prosecution is going to tell us about why he wanted to get rid of his ex-brother-in-law. So I'm going to try to listen to like the initial part of that and then jump over to the defense side of their response. And then we're going to probably call it a night because we're already almost at 2 hours. We're jumping into the review of the Adelson case. And y'all, I'm sorry, I keep licking my lips. I forgot to put Carmex on before jumping on the live stream. Need some hydration. Okay, let's go ahead and share the screen. Let's get bigger. And we're going right into jury instructions. All right, that is our good, well, he's not our friend. He's not our good friend. His name is Adelson. Let me see. Can you send me a link? So let me try it now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Before we get started,
There are no captions for this one, guys.
An instruction that's going to explain to you.
Can you hear it okay?
It's going to be conducted. Also, I'm going to give you an instruction concerning note taking as well. Does everyone have a notepad and pen in their seats? Yes, sir. All right. And for the record, the jurors have answered in the affirmative. Once I have given those two instructions to you,
wow, this is on playback too, and it's going pretty slow.
And the state will begin with the presentation of its case. Once again, I will be reading to you a fair amount during the trial. It's not that I don't wish to have a normal conversation with you.
Okay, letting me know that it's really quiet, so give me one moment. I think it's a way. I think there is a way to turn it up on my Rodecaster Pro. I think it's this one. So let me know if this helps a little bit more, Kimmy.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected and sworn as the jury.
That louder?
In the case of the state of Florida versus Charles Adelson. This is a criminal case. Charles Adelson is charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation.
He's trying to look so sad.
The definition of these offenses will be explained to you later in the trial. The state's charging document, which is called an indictment, is not evidence and is not to be considered by you as any proof of guilt. It will be my responsibility during this trial to explain the law to you. It is your solemn responsibility to determine if the state proved its accusations beyond a reasonable doubt against Charles Adelson in accordance with the law that I will provide to you. Thus, the province of the jury and the province of the court are well defined, and they do not overlap. This is one of the fundamental principles of our system of justice.
Can y'all hear it okay?
Further, it will be helpful if you understand how
this case is in Tallahassee, Florida.
At the beginning of the trial, the attorneys will have an opportunity, if they wish, to make an opening statement. The opening statement gives the attorneys a chance to tell you what evidence they believe will be presented during the trial. What the lawyers say is not evidence, and you are not to consider it as such. Following the opening statements, witnesses will be called to testify under oath. They will be examined and cross-examined by the attorneys. Documents and other exhibits may also be produced as evidence. After the evidence has been presented, I will give you instructions on the law. The attorneys will then have their opportunity to make their closing arguments. Following the closing arguments by the attorneys, I will conclude in giving you final instructions. After the final instructions,
What are we texting after they told him not to text? You see him back
and
there?
you will then retire to
The
consider
dude behind him?
You should not form any definite or fixed opinion on the merits of this case until you have heard all the evidence, the argument of the lawyers, and the instruction on the law that I will provide to
So
you.
the actual video does not have closed captioning. So if you need it, my video should have closed captioning
Based solely on
if
the
you press it on
evidence or
my
the lack
actual
of
video.
evidence and the law. I now instruct you not to communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, about this case. No communication includes no emailing, text messaging, tweeting, blogging, or any other form of communication. You cannot do any research about the case or look up any information that is related to the case.
Can't believe this is already on 2
If you
times
become
speed.
aware of any violation
slow.
of these rules at all, please notify my bailiff concerning the violation. During the course of the trial, we may have to take recesses or breaks. During these recesses or breaks, you will either be returned to the
Okay, and so I just wanted you guys to hear like that main jury instruction part. Let's go ahead and get to our sis in the green shirt. Okay. Yeah, so they can't talk about the trial. Same thing with the Murdaugh case. They can't talk about the trial. If anyone tries to talk to them, they have to report it. As you guys heard, he's being charged with conspiracy to commit elimination. I'm trying to use better words. Commit elimination. He's been charged with actual elimination, meaning that the person did die. And he is also being charged for elimination for hire. So he sought out someone to assist him. If you guys missed it earlier, he was a dentist. So I want to see how that will play into the case. So here's my boy. He's trying to look sad. He's trying to look like didn't do it, but somehow they know he did it. So I would like to know how. I'm happy that I don't really know a lot about this case because we all get to learn about it together. And like I said, this is a type of case that I watch in my spare time, and I'm super surprised that I did not know about it, never heard of it. So here we go. This is the prosecution starting off with their opening statement.
That will be left up to each juror as an individual choice. You have been provided with a notepad and pen for your use if you wish to take notes. Any notes that you take will be for your use. However, you are not to take your notepads from the courtroom. During any recess or break, you are to leave your notepads in your seats, and you will have possession of them once again when we reconvene. After you have completed your deliberations in this matter, my bailiff will deliver your notepads to me. From there, they will be destroyed. No one will ever read your notes.
Yeah, he's talking really slow. It's on 2 times speed.
Taking that you become distracted.
It sounds regular.
Your notes should only be used as an aid to your memory.
Okay, you're taking too long.
Is the state ready to give its opening?
Okay, here we go.
You may proceed.
Thank you.
I love the bright green that she's wearing. And the judge is already sweating.
I know that we've been introduced, but y'all haven't heard from me yet. My name is Sarah Catherine Dugan, and I'm going to be representing the state of Florida in this case, along with Georgia Kappelman. The last couple of days, we've obviously been in jury selection. Thank y'all for your patience with that. I know there's a lot of
Like no one in the courtroom.
in jury selection, you know, each side was able to kind of talk with you about your feelings and concepts. Your feelings about the law and different concepts. But now it's time for opening statements, where each of us is going to kind of give you a roadmap of what we expect that the evidence in this case will show. And then after opening statements,
I'm giving them the instructions that the judge already gave them. Move on with your opening statement.
let's get right to it.
Yes, please do.
We're here today is because the defendant in this case, Charlie Adelson, hired a hitman to kill his former brother-in-law, Dan Markel.
Jeez.
This murder was set into motion because back in 2014, the defendant's family, the Adelson family, had a big problem. And that big problem was Dan Markel. And the solution to that problem was this defendant. This defendant was the solution to that problem because he had a girlfriend with connections to the type of people who were willing and capable of pointing a gun at a complete stranger and pulling the trigger. The victim in this case was known as Danny to his friends and family.
All talk slow because this is still on 2x speed.
Two little boys. He was a highly respected professor at Florida State College of Law. And tragically, on July 18th of 2014, Dan Markel was shot twice in the head in broad daylight in the driveway of his home in the Benton Hills neighborhood here in Tallahassee. The last day of Dan Markel's life that day began like any other of his mornings that summer. He woke up, he drove his two little boys to preschool and dropped them off, and then he drove over to the gym to work out. After finishing his workout, he returned home. He pulled in his driveway, opened his garage, but little did he know that throughout his just
Try to fix the volume for you guys.
He was being followed. He was being followed by two hired hitmen who traveled all the way from Miami to Tallahassee for the sole purpose of murdering him. And just like something out of a horror movie, he pulls into his driveway and the car that, unknown to him, pulls in right behind him. Moments later, Dan Markel's neighbor heard a gunshot. He looked out the window and he saw a light-colored Toyota Prius backing quickly out of Dan Markel's driveway and then speeding away. The neighbor waited for a couple minutes to see if maybe Dan Markel came out of his house or backed out of his driveway too. And when nothing happened, this neighbor got that funny feeling that maybe something could be wrong here. So he walked over, and what he found was a gruesome scene. He walked in the garage and saw that the driver's side window of Dan Markel's car was shattered. He saw Dan Markel was still behind the wheel. He was alive, but he was moaning, he was unresponsive, and he was terribly injured. The neighbor then goes and calls 911. Law enforcement arrives, and they find Dan Markel unresponsive with gunshot wounds to his head. He was then taken to the hospital where he survived for several hours before he was actually pronounced dead. Dan Markel was 41 years old, and his little boys that were deprived of their father that day were just 3 and 4 years old. Law enforcement immediately began to investigate to figure out.
Still working on fixing the volume for you guys over here on YouTube.
And the evidence they find sets them down two separate paths. One path is that they had to track down that light-colored Prius that the neighbors saw fleeing from the crime scene and identify who was inside that Prius. And the other path relates to Dan Markel's personal life. They looked to see who, if anybody, in Dan Markel's personal life would hate Dan Markel enough to kill him. And after years of tireless investigation by law enforcement, both of these two paths led directly to this defendant. So let's talk about the path involving Dan Markel's personal life first. In looking at who might have a motive to kill Dan Markel, law enforcement learned that Markel was entangled in a very nasty divorce with his ex-wife, who is the defendant's sister. Her name is Wendy Adelson. A review.
Okay,
of
y'all,
their
give me one
case
moment here.
revealed that Wendy Adelson.
Let me see if I can get this thingy-mabob to work. Let's figure it out together. How do I do this, Kimmy? I don't know how to do I don't know how to do it. Let's see. It's right under the video. Let's see here. Right under the video. This thingy? Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay, let's see if this helps us out a little bit. Let me bring this back down for the video. Y'all, we are figuring it out together. So
I hope you all.
that sounds louder to me. Does that sound louder to you? YouTube, let me know if you can hear it. If you're watching on TikTok, I am on YouTube, and we're watching a trial for Charlie Adelson. For anybody coming in late as well, we're watching a trial for Charlie Adelson, and I am trying to get the volume louder. So that's what's happening right now. If it looks a little confusing, let me see. I did it on the Kohberger one.
Asked the court
That
to
sounds
allow
louder to
her
me. Let me
move
know
back to Miami,
if you guys can hear it
with the kids
better.
in order to be near her parents, whose names are Harvey
Is that
and
better,
Donna
guys?
Adelson, and her brother, the defendant. Dan Markel was
Okay.
adamantly opposed to his children being relocated to Miami. He was a law professor here in Tallahassee. This is where he lived. This is where his kids have been raised. He wanted his kids to live here with him.
So they killed him because they wanted to move, and he didn't?
In Dan Markel's favor. So Wendy Adelson was not permitted to move to Miami with
for a divorce custody thing?
Unless, of course, something happened to Dan Markel.
That's
A
wild.
review of Wendy Adelson's emails.
To move? You killed your husband?
Donna Adelson hated Dan Markel and was desperate to find a way for Wendy and her children, who were Donna Adelson's grandchildren, to be able to move to Miami.
I wonder.
Donna Adelson suggests in these emails that y'all will hear about several ways that Wendy Adelson could threaten or bully Dan Markel into submission, into getting what she wanted him to do. Donna Adelson even suggested offering
he did all of this for his sister?
a $1 million bribe to allow the relocation, and even said that this defendant, Charlie Adelson, would pay a third of that $1 million bribe to Dan Markel to make that happen.
Bribing, killing, that's a lot.
Case will show that Donna Adelson's closest confidant was her son, the defendant. She and the defendant talked multiple times a day.
He did it for his mama and his sister.
Person with whom she would constantly vent and complain to about Wendy's situation. The defendant was also the person that Donna Adelson relied on to solve her problems. And this was a big,
yes, thank you to
big
Kimmy.
problem for Donna Adelson. And she made it the defendant's problem to solve.
Using your son to solve your daughter's problem is bad.
Wendy Adelson and Dan Markel was final about a year before the actual murder. But that was not the end of that case. Litigation was ongoing, to say the least. Each side would continue to routinely file violations of the custody agreement, violations of the settlement agreement, and that continued right up until Dan Markel's death in July of 2014. This was a highly emotionally charged situation between them leading up to his death.
Opening statements are that bad, so we might be able to get through it today.
That Wendy Adelson needed to be rescued from or anything like that.
That's important to note. He wasn't beating her.
This was a very messy custody.
Not self-defense.
Shortly before the murder, in fact, Dan Markel, the victim, filed with the court and basically asked the court, he alleged that Donna Adelson was disparaging him to his children by saying bad things about him. And he asked the court to enter an order preventing Donna Adelson from having unsupervised contact with her grandchildren.
And that's what set him off.
This motion was still pending in court when Dan Markel was killed.
Oh, okay.
The murder of Dan Markel
that probably did set
ensured
him
that
off
an
for
adverse
sure.
ruling on his motion would never be a problem for the Adelsons. And just about 48 hours after the shooting, Wendy Adelson and the little boys
Moved.
relocated to Miami.
Oh my
Shortly
gosh.
thereafter, moved into a home within walking distance of the Adelsons' Miami home. Within a year of Dan Markel's murder, Wendy Adelson legally changed Dan Markel's son's last name
What?
from Markel to Adelson. And
Wow.
just like that,
They just
their
made
father
him
was
disappear.
just effectively erased from their lives at 3 and 4. And the Adelsons family, their big problem had been solved.
I wonder how the sister didn't get
You'll hear during this
charged with
trial that
anything.
The Adelsons are a very tight-knit family. The defendant and his parents, Harvey and Donna Adelson, they actually even all worked together at the Adelson Institute, which was their family's dental practice. At the Adelson Institute, the defendant and Harvey Adelson were dentists, and Donna Adelson managed the office.
When you think you're
After
above the
Dan
law
Markel
at this
was
point.
killed on July 18, 2014, law enforcement interviewed Wendy Adelson. And Wendy Adelson acknowledged that her family had a motive to kill Dan Markel. Or
How
to
did she
want him
acknowledge
dead.
that?
She
What'd she
admitted
say?
that her brother, the defendant, had even said that he looked into hiring a hitman to
He
kill Dan
snitched.
Markel as a divorce present to her. But he decided to buy her a TV instead because it was cheaper. And
Your sister snitched after
Coincidentally-
you did that for her?
or not, that TV that this defendant bought his sister as a divorce gift instead of hiring a hitman would be Wendy Adelson's alibi for the morning of the murder when the victim was killed by a hitman. So this path of looking into Dan Markel's life to see who would have a motive to want him dead leads law enforcement to the Adelsons, including this defendant, a man who told his family that
everyone
he
else
looked
was
into hiring a
charged too.
hitman to kill Dan Markel.
Which is wild. Why would you tell people that?
The defense asked yesterday in jury selection, who's talked trash or heard somebody talk trash about an in-law, which is not a rare concept. A lot of people don't like their in-laws. But the difference here is that the defendant's comment stopped being just a little bit of trash talk when Dan Markel was actually killed by a hitman. While the police are trying to investigate, who in Dan Markel's personal life may have a motive to kill him, they're simultaneously going down that second path I described to y'all, which was tracking down the vehicle that the neighbor saw fleeing the crime scene. When law enforcement retraced
They
Dan
did
Markel's
a
steps
hit in a
during the
Prius
murder,
is
they
wild.
uncovered some chilling surveillance video of a Prius fitting the description of the one seen by the neighbor, following Dan Markel into the Premier Gym parking lot, waiting for an hour while he was inside, and then following
Those of you watching, sorry.
him home from Premier Gym back to his neighborhood. They got these surveillance images from city buses, from Premier, from everywhere they possibly could. And these surveillance images, coupled with a massive amount of phone data and SunPass records gathered in this case, helped police to eventually track down the exact car used in this crime. But police still had to figure out who was in the Prius and why did they kill Dan Markel.
And they
As
snitched
part of
immediately,
this
huh?
Really painstaking review. that law enforcement did of all of these
Yeah, I'm
records.
just
And when
trying to
I
see
say
how long they
painstaking,
gonna take.
finding this Prius and finding all of this evidence and all of these records was not an easy task. And it took longer than your average investigation. It was very difficult to do. They combed through tons of phone records and even did what's called a tower dump, which is where law enforcement collected a list of all of the cell phone numbers that communicated with the cell tower that served.
Okay, she's talking too much for my liking. I understand she's trying to get her story across, but I'm not about to be here all night. So what I'm going to do right now, we know who he is, who the victim was. We know what the motive was. His sister wanted to move to a different place. And the court was not allowing her to, so brother took it upon himself to find someone to eliminate him. We're going to go ahead and jump into the defense's side, which appears to be a lot longer than the prosecution. So maybe let's play like the last few minutes of her little speech to see if she ties everything together. And then let's see, where does his start? His starts at like 45. So yeah, let's get like the last 5 minutes of her speech to see if she ties everything together. And then we'll go ahead and jump into his defenses, because they're going to say, what is his excuse? Like, I don't know what's been going on. My sister moving has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. We don't know what it's going to be. Let me go ahead and jump through some chats really quick, and then we'll go ahead and jump to the end of her speech, because she was talking too slow. That's on 2x speed, and it sounds regular to me. Okay, I don't know how it sounds to you guys, but it sounds regular to me. And let's see what the chat is actually saying. Oops, I went to the wrong place. Okay, Tiny D saying, dang, in broad daylight, it was a straight hit. It was definitely a hit. That is completely wild that they just went to his house and shot him twice in the head. That is crazy. I didn't know that before we started covering the trial. Sakatoa says, wow, years. You mean years before they executed the plan? Kimmy Locker says, Dan Markel was a law professor at FSU. Yes, he was, and they took it upon themselves to get rid of him. Mary Malarkey says, there are emails. Yes, cans covering eyes. People do this, they're not the smartest. They think they're so smart and they think they're so above the law, and then they get caught by doing stupid stuff like emailing their plan and telling your sister. And your sister going to say, oh, yeah, he actually told me that he wanted to hire someone to get rid of him, but he called me a TV instead. And she might have said it like jokingly, but don't tell the police. And I'm not saying, obstruct justice and hide things from the police, but you're like, for you, and you immediately snitch. Like, it didn't even take you a couple of visits with the police. You snitched immediately is wild to me. No loyalty. Tanya D says, I'm super close to my brother, but ain't no way. I would never even put my brother in the position to do something like that at all. Have the nerve to snitch on him is wild. Tiny says this case is crazy. It's already crazy, and we haven't even got through all the details. Like I said, she was taking too long to talk. She's going to talk for another 30 minutes at that slow pace, and I don't got it in me tonight. I need to take my butt to bed. So we're not about to listen to her talk. The other attorney looks like he talks for about an hour himself as well, but we'll do the beginning of his and then jump to the end of his. We'll skip all the little sauce in the middle. We want to get to the juice of what's actually happening. Kimmy Locker says, it is wild to me that people can go from being in love to this. Right. It's crazy. And they had like a contentious divorce battle, contentious custody battle, and then it ends in like pow pow. That's absolutely crazy. And this is the type of law that I practice. I might have to get on out of there if that's what's happening. That's what's going on. Mary Malaki said, and when the children get older and discover all that went down, I can't. The part that got me was they literally changed the kid's last name. Like, what was the point of that? That makes you look so suspicious. And it makes it seem like you didn't really care about the dad. You used him to get the kids that you wanted, and now he's of no use to you. It comes off as he was actually blocking the rest of her life. She wanted to move with what she thought was her kids. No, you have kids with that guy. Those are his kids too. And you just changed their last name. Mary Malaki, I'm invested in this one. I'm glad you like it. Kimmy Locky says, I've heard family and divorce courts are the most dangerous and volatile. That's what people say. I haven't run into it yet. But this case is making me a little afraid of what I do on a daily basis. So, like I said, let's go ahead and jump to the end of her speech here. This is very interesting. Let's give her 10 minutes, okay? Let's give her 10 minutes to get to her freaking point, because she is talking so slow. I'm sure the defense is about to do the same thing. Let's give us a smaller piece of me and a bigger piece of her. Let's go.
Rivera said that he bought a gun off the street for that second trip, and Garcia rented a car. I'm sorry, for the June trip. Rivera bought a gun off the street.
They tried to do it more than once?
Rented a car for that trip. Garcia and Rivera did some scouting on that trip of Dan Markel's residence, some surveillance, but ultimately couldn't get the job done. They ended heading back to Miami.
So they tried to do it multiple
during the trip
times?
To Tallahassee, he said that Garcia had a piece of paper with a picture of the man that they were supposed to kill on it, and some handwritten notes as well. Cell phone records corroborate.
Watch verse 48. Do not commit a crime with other people and don't tell people about your crime. You go into jail.
About an incident in Tallahassee where he and Garcia were riding down the road.
The hitmen are going to testify.
And Garcia accidentally discharged the murder weapon, and the bullet struck the floorboard of the Prius. Law enforcement tracked down that actual Prius again, and were able to see evidence in the undercarriage that corroborated Rivera's information about the accidental discharge.
I don't know if they thought they were going to get off, but they're going to jail too. They're probably already in jail.
Corroborate what he's telling them. I mentioned earlier that both men, Garcia and Rivera, cut their phones off from the time that they left Premier and kept them off until well after the murder when they're on their way back home. Rivera said that the first
do all of that and then tell on yourself.
Either of them made after the homicide was from Garcia to Magbanua, where Garcia told her that the job was done. And Magbanua assured them that they would get their money the next day, which they did. Rivera says when Catherine Magbanua brought cash to him at his home.
Assuming Catherine is the girlfriend.
Information that Luis Rivera provided them was corroborated by, including when the money was dropped off, was corroborated by cell phone records in this case. Well, Luis Rivera told police that the next day,
there were hitmen in this case.
He was paid in cash.
Murder for hire. So yes,
and that the money was packaged in a very unusual way. The money was in stacks of $100 bills, and the money was stapled together.
What?
The stacks of 100s, every $1,000 was stapled together. During this trial, y'all will hear that the defendant had access to a lot of cash. And nothing's wrong with that. He had a lot of cash because his family gives cash discounts at their dental practice. And he keeps the cash that he receives in a safe. Again, nothing wrong about that either. However, what is relevant in this case is that the defendant had a very unusual practice of keeping the cash in his safe.
Stapled together.
$1,000 stacks of $100 bills that were stapled together.
How'd you find
Just
that
like
out?
The money Luis Rivera received. Over the last few years, since the 2016 arrests and interview of Luis Rivera, law enforcement has not stopped working on this case. There were trials in 2019 and 2022, so right before the pandemic and right after the pandemic, of co-conspirators, Law enforcement also continued
so they
to try to
did get the
gather all the
co-conspirators.
evidence that they possibly could. They continued to interview people who may possibly have any information about the case. They tried to clarify any audio recordings that couldn't be clearly heard. While the phone wiretaps are very clear, the wiretap conversations that took place in public places when these people were meeting in person were not clearly audible back in 2016. Some still aren't, but because these public places are often too noisy. For instance, the recording of the conversation between the defendant and Catherine
Me too, Tanya. I got questions about him stapling money. What does that mean?
Clearly hear what the conspirators were talking about. However, since 2016, as technology developed over the years, and thanks to law enforcement's just continued dedication, law enforcement eventually found an expert that was formerly employed by the CIA with improved technology and
that person is going to testify.
To clarify this recording at Dolce Vita that y'all
Sure, Garcia and Rivera are going to testify.
Reduce as much background noise as possible. And once this recording was clarified, which was actually just early last year in 2022, the state arrested this defendant. The presentation of this evidence, as y'all can see from the beginning,
who were the other co-conspirators that had a trial already? Was it his mom and sister?
And I want to thank y'all
or the girlfriend, maybe, who I'm sure is going to testify as well.
Y'all see and hear during this trial. When you'll see that this defendant carried out his plan to hire a hitman to kill Dan Markel. He conspired and he solicited Catherine McManua to get this murder done. And he paid her for the job once it was completed. This defendant acted in furtherance of this murder plot that went beyond just thinking about it or talking about it.
Attorney is listening very strongly.
As a principal to first-degree murder, just as if he pulled the trigger himself. While the defendant's choices helped solve a problem within his family, they came at a very high price. He took the life of a loving father of 2 little boys, and he caused a lifetime of grief for Dan Markel's loved ones.
People do like murder for hires. They feel like they didn't do anything. They didn't cause it, but they did.
Which I'm sure it is. But Dan Markel was loved. He was a brother. He was a son. And this trial is his family's opportunity to see justice done for the person who set up their son's murder. And at the conclusion of this evidence, y'all will be convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that this defendant is guilty. And at
I'm already convinced, but let's see what the defense says.
That does justice in this case, which is a verdict that the defendant is guilty as charged. Thank y'all.
Is the defense prepared to give its opening statement?
Yeah, and they just feel like they didn't do anything wrong. Even if he called it and he told his girlfriend he wanted it and the girlfriend went ahead and did it, I don't know. He just seems like he does not think he's guilty. I want to know who already went to trial as a co-conspirator. Was it the girlfriend? Was it the hitman? Those hitmen are probably definitely in jail already.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
The volume doing good for you guys? Y'all need to come on. When are you gonna start?
you saw the chart. It wasn't limited to Charlie Adelson. Unindicted co-conspirators in this case, the state has said it. Wendy Adelson, Donna
His
Adelson,
sister.
Harvey Adelson.
Sorry, I missed that. Let me go back for y'all. So there is
The
a
state
chart
knew,
of who
as you
hasn't
heard,
been.
that Wendy Adelson and Professor Markel, the state saw no connection between these people and Professor Markel. So from the very outset, the state suspected the Adelsons. The
Okay,
family.
I can't find what
You
it
saw the
is.
chart.
Oh, here's the chart.
It
There
wasn't
we go.
limited to Charlie Adelson. Unindicted co-conspirators in this case, the state has said it. Wendy Adelson,
So sister has not been
Donna
indicted.
Adelson, Harvey Adelson.
Mom has not been indicted, and I don't know who Harvey is.
The state knew, as you heard, that Wendy Adelson and Professor Markel
So you're gonna blame it on your
had gone
sister?
through a brutal divorce.
The
You're gonna see
chance is to blame it on your sister? This
They
family is
couldn't find
falling
the
apart for
connection.
sure. Worse than the
But
Murdaughs
then
at
they
this
had
point.
their aha moment. As you heard, they determined that at the time of the murder in 2014,
All talk
Charlie
so
Adelson
slow.
was dating Catherine McBanwell. And they learned that Catherine McBanwell had
So it sounds
previous
like
relationship,
Catherine
on again, off again.
Probably
Secreto Garcia.
already been indicted. I didn't read the chart all
They
the way,
learned
but
that
that's what it
Secreto
sounds like.
Garcia and Catherine McBanwell shared 2 children together. They had their connection. The problem is,
He's blaming his girlfriend and his
That's
sister.
where
His
the
sister
state
went to his
began to
ex-girlfriend and
guess.
asked.
began to make assumptions.
But he's the one with the money. So maybe Donna
And
gave
you will
the
see,
money.
We will show it. That those assumptions didn't make sense.
All of their speeches could be like 2 minutes if they didn't
I
talk so
love jigsaw
slow.
puzzles. I've loved them since I'm young.
I mean, I guess it helps the court
The
reporter.
reason why I love them is because they only work if every piece fits. No matter what you do with the jigsaw puzzle, if a piece doesn't fit, it becomes a mess. You can't hammer it, and you can't ignore it. Because if you ignore it, you have holes in the puzzle. What you're going to see is with regards to this case, that's exactly what the state tried to do. They heard things. They saw things.
I'm going to
Told his
skip
mom.
him because he's not saying absolutely anything.
You learn that
He's
she was the
talking very
bookkeeper for
slow.
the dental institute.
So he's going to blame his mama
They learned-
and his sister.
Why he had to tell her. You'll learn about those checks. They've never been able to understand, why are they so sequential? Why are they back and forth? You'll learn why. They talk about the bump in 2016.
No, they're not a close family. At least they're
What
falling
I like
apart
to
at
call is
this
the
point.
second extortion. What they don't realize is that their undercover operation was an extortion on an extortion. They don't know it. It's not their fault. And we're going to go through the wires with you. We're going to go through Dolce Vita with you. And we're going to show you how they actually prove his innocence. We're going to show you how they are talking carefully. They're talking to him. He's talking about an extortion. They're happy if this bump is the police, Because if it's the police, none of them are going to get killed. If it's a bad guy, they're in danger.
Okay.
If you do a murder with someone, the last person in the world you want this bump to be is the police. Because it means they're onto you. Puzzle pieces.
That's the end of his speech.
Not from the first layer, she says, but from the second layer. I got goosebumps when she said it. It's one of my favorite lines in the recording.
She got favorite lines in the.
Not from the first layer, the first extortion, but from the second layer. 20 months later is the bump. That's the second layer to Charlie Adelson at that point in time. You will also see.
Why do they talk so
This could be
slow?
weird about this
I don't
case, ladies and
understand
gentlemen.
why they talk so slow.
You're going to start to see it today. Much of their case, I agree about. They're going to put witnesses up there. I'm not going to ask them one question.
Really?
Some of their
I would like to see
evidence
that.
is exactly the truth. It just doesn't prove a murder. The stapled money,
There
it's
could have
his
been
money.
a lot of people. That is true. That is true. I get them with that because the mom had access to it too. But dang, blame it, throwing your mama under the bus and your
You will
daddy
also
and
see
your sister.
that Sigfredo Garcia was arrested on May 25, 2016. You will see that Luis Rivera was arrested on June 2nd, 2016. You will see that Catherine Magbanua was arrested on October 1, 2016.
Okay, so yeah, the sister.
Guess who
girlfriend.
wasn't arrested? Charlie Adelson.
Well, we know
He
that.
wasn't arrested for 6 more years.
That is true.
What you're going to see is that they had the exact same evidence in 2016 against Charlie Adelson that they do today.
That's a good
The same
point.
liars. They talk about an enhanced Dolce Vita recording. You're going to get both recordings. You determine if you can hear anything better. See, the state's case against Charlie Adelson is a case of assumptions. It's a case of
Going to be
guesses.
circumstantial.
It was not brought until weeks before Katie Magbanua's trial. You can ask yourself why.
Still not
Ladies and
done.
gentlemen, I want to thank you for your attention.
Okay, he's done.
I want to ask for your patience in this case. A man's life.
Not you
Is it
about
your
to
hands?
cry.
He's innocent. Send him home.
How long did it take him to perfect that fake cry? He knows how to look so sympathetic. I don't know. I just skipped through a lot of their argument. He was taking too long. She was taking too long. I know, like a lot of the YouTubers, lawtubers, stream trials. I don't know if it's for me. I'm too busy trying to listen. I feel it's hard to make comments on stuff because I'm trying to listen. I want you guys to listen as well. So I don't want to just sit here and stare at the screen and everyone gets bored, right? I still think he has something to do with it. Defense does have some arguments. The money could have come from the dad or the mom, but are you really gonna, I mean, I guess if you really didn't do it, then you have to throw mama under the bus. You have to throw daddy under the bus, and you have to throw sister under the bus. So I definitely understand, but is it the best defense? I mean, I guess a lot of defenses of this nature are going to blame other people. There's so many moving parts going on. So let me go ahead and check out the comments to see what the chat has to say. And I completely forgot that we had an entire other case that we need to look into. So Kimmy found some short reads for us and some short videos for us that we're going to check out. And then we are going to call this stream a wrap. I know I said I would do Reddit in between each case, but we are already almost 2.5 hours in, and your girl got to go to bed. And I know a lot of you are on the East Coast, and y'all got to go to bed too, okay? So let's go ahead and see what the chat is saying. Mary Malaki says, I missed that there were hitmen. Yes, it was a murder for hire case. So yes, they're going to have hitmen in it. Tanya D says, what's he smiling about? It did look like he was smirking. I think he's going to get off. Tanya D says, I've got questions about him stapling money. It sounds like it's the family business. He's not denying that the money came from their business. He's just saying that his mom or his dad gave it to them, not him. He didn't do it. He didn't know that his sister and his mom and his dad was conspiring with his girlfriend. Sounds like a family affair, and you're all throwing each other under the bus. And like I said earlier, if you're going to commit a crime, don't do it with other people because you're going to jail, okay? So it sounds like the mom, the dad, and the sister have not been arrested, but who is arrested? This guy, because as prosecution said, he was mom's confidant. He probably did whatever mom said is what prosecution is going to try to prove. Defense is going to try to prove he had nothing to do with it. He wasn't even talking to that girl at the time, and he couldn't control her hiring her baby daddy to kill. I believe it would be her baby daddy to kill his sister's husband. Okay. Mary Malaki says it always, I think I already read that one. Oh yeah, I put it on screen, but it says it always gets under my skin when the accused doesn't like what they're hearing about their actions and they start taking notes. That's exactly what was going on. Mary Malaki says, Bree, I'm already convinced because I am. I don't think they're going to be able to convince me otherwise. I think it was a family affair. I know I didn't listen to the entire defense's arguments, but as they said, that does not count as evidence, so that's completely fine. I'm fine without listening to their arguments. I think it was a family affair. I'm convinced. I don't know if you guys are, but I am. Tiny says, guess they aren't such a close-knit family after all. It can't be. I think they were close until they got caught. That's my thing. They were close until they got caught. Mary Malarkey says, Harvey is Harvey Adelson, Charlie's father. Thank you for that clarification. I was like, who is Harvey? Mary Malarkey says he's innocent. Send him home. I'm going to take him to practice that. I bet he does that in every single murder trial that he has. Is that the appropriate comment to end with? I feel like it would irritate a few jurors. I don't know who can say stuff like that. But I'm also not a criminal attorney, so I don't know. Chris Mullen, another member of the channel. Hello and welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you tonight. Tiny says, I think I'm most shocked that it was on 2x speed and everyone still talks slow. It was still extremely slow. Imagine if we were watching that on regular speed. There's no way. There's no way. Chris Mullen says, hey to the mods. Oh, let's jump into the comments. Chris Mullen says to Tanya D, I know, right? I was watching on 1.75 speed and it sounded normal. Yes, it sounds normal or even slowed down, right? Okay. Mary Malarkey says, so we're going with mommy issues. He has mommy issues now. They said in the beginning that he was very close with mom. Now he's saying mom is murderous. I don't. They're definitely not a close family anymore if they were. Ms. Allen says, I'm pretty sure that Donna, the mother, had something to do with it, but they cannot pin anything on her because, not to be rude to the family that is suffering, but she's smart. What a lot of people do is they play their pawns. She's the queen. She's playing her pawns. Her son is her pawn. Maybe her daughter is her pawn, or maybe he's the pawn to the whole family. That tends to happen. The son, you got to defend your sister. You have to take care of your sister. So yeah, they probably found him to be the pawn. My boy said, I'm not even going to ask questions to certain witnesses because they're right. They're not lying. But my client didn't do it. All right, let's see you prove that. Let's see you prove that. Okay, thank you, Kimmy, for that. I forgot to send this chat that I just sent Kimmy. Okay, so Kimmy went ahead and got us a short version of the stuff for Ruby Franke, which I want to introduce to the channel, even though we're pretty late into the live stream. We talked about it at the beginning of the stream. Ruby Franke is being accused of abuse to her child, along with her partner on YouTube, where they kind of teach parenting skills and everything. So, Kimmy, that link is not working for me. It says you have reached a page that is not available. Use the navigation menu. So I cannot see the article that you sent me. So yes, this will be for the article that you sent me for the Salt Lake Tribune. Okay, so we don't have that article quite yet, but we will wait for it to come through if she has it. If not, I'll just do a brief, okay. So she gave us the video. Yes, she's being accused. She has 6 kids and
it has been.
Uh-oh, sorry, y'all. Okay, so Ruby Franke, she has 6 kids. They had a family channel where she would show like punishments to her kids. One of the most notable ones is where she told the teacher that she was not going to bring lunch for her 6-year-old daughter, I believe, who forgot to pack her lunch. And she basically said, I told her, if you don't bring it, you're not going to eat. So she let her daughter go hungry at school. To me, growing up in the time frame that I grew up in, that is not that bad, but these days it is bad. She's living in my time of growing up. Sometimes you go hungry when you don't bring your lunch, okay? And pack your lunch. I see her point. The problem is she put it on the internet. I think that's what a lot of people's problems are going to be, because we may or may not have been abused when our families were raising us, but we didn't have the internet, or we didn't have the internet in the way that we have it right now, to where you're putting it on the internet and people are judging you for it. And now we're in this era of gentle parenting. That's what's going on with Ruby Franke. Now, the other thing that she's been accused of is like making her son sleep on a beanbag as a punishment. I believe she is also the same person that sent her kid to like this, I forget what the camp is called, but they basically try to, put you in nature and put you in bad situations in order to make you become a good kid. That's probably abuse. Now, what she was most recently arrested for is that CPS, or whatever they call CPS in their area, found 2 of her children malnourished. One of them had duct tape around his ankles and wrists. Now that is extreme. Not feeding your kid lunch one day, they had a day of fasting. But tying your kids up in the basement and making them do content and embarrassing them on the camera and all of those things, yes, I think that is abuse. But the whole lunch thing, I can't really get behind that. I'm sorry, cancel me if you have to. I can't really get behind the lunch thing as being abuse, because I didn't eat lunch the other day. But things are different. So she shouldn't have put it on the internet. She probably would have been okay if she did not put it on the internet. So Kimmy went ahead and gave me a couple videos to watch, and let's see what they are. I don't know what they are, so I hope they're appropriate, but I'm pretty sure Kimmy wouldn't give me anything that's inappropriate. So here we go. Let me know if you...
Amazingly well behaved for being in town.
But you yelled at me.
Shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know. That never happens in my house. I never yell. Right,
She's
Eve?
lying
Tell
to the
them how
camera?
mommy never yells at you.
I'm super cute and it's hard to yell.
Oh, so she coaches them to say that kind of stuff?
I am super cute. Oh my gosh, you're a doll.
Is it right?
Yes, you're right. You are super cute. And
She
do I ever
coached
yell
you
at
to
you?
say that?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yes, say yes.
It's hard to yell at me because I'm super cute.
That's like very robotic.
That is very.
She coached her to say that. That was very, very robotic. Could you guys hear that? Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. That wasn't good. Okay, let me go to the next one. Kimmy got us some more videos. Let's go ahead and see what other kind of stuff that she does on a normal basis. So let's see here. This one I'm probably not going to share the screen for because it looks like it shows the kid's face. It might be blurred out, but let me see here. Not, I just closed the thing. Okay, I don't think I needed that.
Ring.
Yeah, this one shows the kid's face, so I'm not gonna show it, but I'll go ahead and play it for you. So let me stop sharing my screen. Let me go ahead and bring it over to where it needs to be. Come on, buddy. 6 kids, she makes contents with them, and it's controversial. So let me put that there. And so I'm just gonna play the audio for this video of another interaction that she had with her kids.
Ring.
We are going to a movie, so go get on your shoes.
What is it? What?
Does it even matter? If someone asked me if I wanted to go to a movie, I wouldn't ask, what is it? Run and get your shoes or you're going to not go. Hurry. Everyone run.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there because that one also has music and I don't want to get copyright thing for that one too. So let me go on to the next one.
Taken away for 7 months and then you give it back like a couple.
This one also has music to it. So we probably won't be able to play the remaining videos on this one because I don't want the sound to be cut off from the video because of the music. So let's see here. The videos do have music, but that's okay. So basically, she records her kids and everything. She records their punishments. She basically gets on the internet and embarrasses them. She was recently arrested along with her, I guess, business partner, who allegedly knew about the abuse for the abuse to the children. They found evidence at the business partner's home. So, Ruby Franke, we will try to keep up with what's going on there. Unfortunately, I don't have an article to go over for her, but that's basically all I remember off the top of my head. Let me see. Okay, Kimmy got us the article, so let's see here. Oh, okay. That's interesting. We'll go ahead and talk about it. Let's see here. Okay, so they have P, therapist, y'all can read it. Discipline for telling church BYU about a man. This is an archived article that was published on Strive in 2012. The P addiction therapist has been reprimanded by the state for discussing patient without his permission with the LDS church leaders in Brigham Young University. This is about the business partner because she's a therapist. The therapist, or all of the claims made by Jodi Hildebrandt, that's the business partner, were false, the man asserts, and they led to his loss of privileges in the church and his election, or his ejection from BYU. She just lied wherever she went to further her agenda to destroy my life, said the man, who objected to bills that were as high as $2,000 a month. We came there for marriage counseling. And she pulled us into her P marathon. Hildebrandt, a professional counselor, is on probation for 18 months and must meet 22 conditions, or she could lose her license. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and Wednesday that they said Wednesday that Hildebrandt is no longer on LDS family service referral list due to the case. So she was previously reprimanded. I think she got in other trouble with her license as well, if I remember correctly from the little research that I did do. And then she joined forces with Ruby Franke and created a channel on like parenting tips and how to be a good parent. So they are both facing charges in the case, and I will try to keep up with it. If you guys would like to follow the case, I believe that Natalie Lawyer Chick recently covered the police video camera footage, and I think that I'm not sure if Emily D. Baker covered it when all of the news came out. I'm pretty sure she did, but I don't know what she has covered on that case. So yes, the article is from 2012, so it's really interesting to me that the church said Hildebrandt was taken off the recommendation list over a decade ago. Right, and so there was some other information that came out that she was never actually reprimanded. However, in the state that they're in, which I believe is Florida, they can remove the disciplinary actions from the therapist after 10 years. So that's why people thought she never had any issues, or maybe she got on YouTube and said, I never had any reprimand because it had already been removed. And you can apply to remove it 5 years if you complete certain conditions. So that's really interesting going on too. So I would like to see, a lot of people have been covering her and making videos about her mistreatment of her children for a very long time, and no one was shocked. I think a lot of people were actually relieved when she actually got arrested. So with that being said, that is all I have for today. I would do another hole, but your girl has to go to bed. I appreciate you all so much for staying up past your dinner times to hang out with me for almost 3 hours. It has been a blast. I hope the cases were interesting to you guys. I will try to keep up with Adelson. I think that is a good case, but the hearings are long as heck. The hearings are long as heck, but I'm going to try to keep as much information. If I have to watch other people, or I will listen to the... I need something that plays that video back 4 times speed, because so they're talking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Like, I can't do it. I would definitely not be able to watch that full time. I'm going to have to catch the cliff notes or whatever comes from it. But you know how the media is. They, you know, don't give you the right information. So I'll try to keep up with that case. Kohberger should have some pretty interesting stuff coming up soon. Ruby Franke should also have some pretty interesting stuff coming up soon. And we also have a couple of celebrity and more lighter cases with some updates and some new information that are interesting as well. So thank you everyone for joining in tonight. If you haven't already, please do hit the like button. We passed our 30 like goal, so thank you for the live chat. And if you're watching on the replay and you made it this far and you haven't hit the like button, please do hit the like button. It helps us out in the algorithm. I definitely appreciate it. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on the next stream.